Going on, everybody? It's your guy Joe, and this is Obi filling in for Sharif today. We'll wait for everybody to chime in, and then we'll start doing some roll call before we send it to Obi real quick, and then back to me on the lesson of the day, folks.
It's gonna be a good lesson today.
Yeah, it's going to be a good lesson today. Obi's, yeah, all right. Prime example, so that's perfect. Live examples coming from Obi. So what's up, everybody? Ezekiel, what's up, my friend? Bear vs. Bulls, Juan Padilla. Good seeing you in here, my guy. Paul Goodson, Stuart. Hey, guys, what's up? Howdy, the Piper, MB3. Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, Sam L. Yusuf in the house? Yeah, no. Pickle Juice, what's going on? Drop Trades, my guy. Donkey Trader, Crypto FOMO. Jimmy Joe Smith. I know Jimmy John. Fox, what's going on? Seal Bibby, Escape Planet. New Mexico, Misfit, love it. Thomas, nice shirt, Joe, thanks. Appreciate that one. Obi from David Clark, what's going on, everybody? Big Kyle himself is in this one. Hope everybody is having a good day thus far. I know that we have a pretty exciting lesson for those who trade VWAP, and for those who don't, we'll get a little bit more into that before we hop into the lesson. But Obi, did you want to chime in and touch on a little about what you had going on for the people this morning?
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? Just finishing up logging in here. Was in a trade earlier today. WBA, absolutely beautiful. We're going to be talking about VWAPs today, and oh boy, did VWAP come in quite nicely here. So a little bit of a bigger picture setup. Once I have some of my other charts ready to go, we can kind of talk about it here. But yeah, you can see off of the open, nice consolidation, 1190s, confluence with that pre-market area and a $12 area as well. You can see that every time it did come back into VWAP, holding quite nicely, kind of showing you a good indicator to show you that, okay, well, if players are potentially in charge, where can you look for them to be in charge at, and VWAP at times on directional tickers, on tickers that may have a strong bid or a sell, can show up as a place where people like to interact and transact at, right? So it's like, all right, VWAP's a good place to kind of keep an eye on price action at. So WBA is a prime example of that today, and yeah, we can go further into what that $12 level might have entailed there. There I go, stop out of my last piece as it comes right back into that 12. So this is what I was kind of managing before I hopped on here, but what's up with that VWAP?
Yeah, today? Good stuff there, guys. So yeah, today's lesson, we're going to touch on VWAP, so just basic stuff. And what Obi just showed us is going to be a prime example of what we're going to be going through briefly. But first things first, I want to know from everybody in the chat, I know there's still people still funneling in, and it's just a simple answer. You're either going to put yes or you're going to put no in the chat, all right? So I want to see where we stand as a collective unit, and the question is that I want everybody to answer is, do you implement the volume-weighted average price, or VWAP, in your day-to-day trading? So put it in the chat. It's either yes or no in the chat. Do you use VWAP as one of your primary indicators in trading? And just let us know, and then we're going to get right into the lesson so I can kind of get a understanding of where everybody is sitting and the general knowledge of every individual. I think a lot of people are going to implement VWAP into their trading strategies. So yeah, here we go. And the majority here it is, Obi. A lot of people funneling and chiming in. This is exactly what we want to see on that front. So yes. And you know what? A little bit of a mixed bag here as well too. So yeah, continue to put that in and let us know yes or no. And here we go.
A lot of replies.
Yeah, we're getting the replies, baby. That's
so
what
I guess a lot of people do use it. I'm seeing very few no's here.
But
no indicators. Day trader cut. I like it.
Yeah, no indicators. I mean,
keeping it raw.
Keeping it simple. Yeah, keeping it raw. Keeping it the flat out. Just price action, which is beautiful. Status. Yeah, elite level status, experience status at that point. Yeah, good. Thanks for chiming in, guys. Fantastic. contribution from you guys in the chat. Sorry. So let's get into this lesson, because maybe you implement these factors already into your day-to-day trading, or maybe you're looking to see how Obi and I and Sean and Neil implement the volume weighted average price into their day-to-day trading, and how important it can be amongst intraday and I guess multiple time frame traders. All right. So guys, taking advantage of VWAP. All right. So let's get right into that. Once again, thanks everybody for chiming in on that one. Fantastic stuff as always, guys. The participation is key, and then you can also talk amongst yourselves as well too, guys. So taking advantage of VWAP. All right. So what is it? So when we talk about the volume weighted average price, let's just break down essentially what this is. The volume weighted average price is a popular indicator across all levels of traders. This can be classified as a trading benchmark that calculates the average price of a stock by the volume of trades at each price level. All right. VWAP gathers both price and volume data throughout the whole trading session. All right. So key points right here. It is calculated from an intraday perspective. VWAP starts when the market opens at 4:30 a.m. to when it closes at 8 p.m., then resets on a daily basis, all right? Unless you're using anchored VWAP, totally different subject here, but we're just gonna focus on intraday basis and how you can implement VWAP in your day-to-day strategy, all right? So, moving forward, utilizing VWAP. Yep. So utilizing VWAP, the indicator can help identify trends. This is extremely important. Obi just displayed this, and we're going to look at some more examples as well. So in a bullish trend, when current and past price is trading above the volume weighted average price, this can indicate more buying pressure. Very simplistic stuff, okay? So when the primary trend is above volume VWAP, this can indicate, hey, there is more buying pressure than there is selling pressure, creating a strong bullish trend, okay? So bearish trend, when current and past price is trading below VWAP, this can reflect more selling pressure. So the inverse of the bullish trend. So when you break below VWAP and then VWAP holds the trend, this can indicate, hey, there is going to be more selling pressure in this underlying asset compared to buying pressure, all right? So it can also be utilized as support and resistance levels, and can also help decipher entry and exit levels, which is extremely key. I know Sean uses this, Neil, Obi, Sharif as well too, and especially me, key in my day-to-day trading, all right? So here we go. Let's look at some examples here. So first we'll touch on exit and entry signals, and then we'll get into some examples. So entry signals. If the primary intraday or pre-market trend is trading above VWAP and the underlying breaches the indicator, once the stock reclaims the level, this can be a potential entry signal looking for the continuation of the trend. As we just explained, in a bullish trend, the price will hold above the volume weighted average price, okay? So exit signals. When trading a retracement setup, price is extended from VWAP, the move back towards the indicator can be used as profit targets and exit signals. I know Obi likes this on his retracement plays. Also can be utilized as stop loss parameters. Really key here on how I implement my day-to-day trading is I also use it as equally as an entry signal. It is also helping me define my risk parameters as I explained to you guys on a day-to-day basis, all right? So now let's go over a couple examples. So this was my trade on IBIT just the other day sometime. It was either late last year in December or earlier in the new year, all right? So let's kind of get into this. So you can say, hey, Joe, well, it's kind of fluctuating in between the volume weighted average price. Yes, not everything is picture perfect, but on this example, I want us to focus on the entry and exit signals, okay? So as you can see here, this is going to be my first entry. This one right here is my entry at the breach of VWAP to the top side. We were trading above the volume weighted average price in the pre-market with the inability to hold price under the volume weighted average price, okay? So that is really key. This can signal some strength for my setup. So now let's talk about the exit signal. So as I enter above the volume weighted average price, my stop loss is going to be set just below VWAP. If it holds below VWAP, this can indicate, hey, there might be some more potential downside, so let me exit the position and then reassess the situation, as I often say to you guys, okay? So as you can see here is entry 1, exit 1, all right? So then I reassess, and then we punch back through the volume weighted average price and hold that level. So this is where my entry number 2 is, all right? Entry number 2, and then an additional add, because you can see on the time and sales as well, different subject, that the strength is holding above the volume weighted average price, okay? So, excuse me, and then that's when you see the price start to appreciate in IBIT here, and we just start to take off profits. But the key metric here that I want you guys to focus on is the entry and then the exit, okay? So I'm not gonna hold on to this much longer as we breach to the downside on VWAP. You can see from today's perspective on how that works, and that's exactly why you don't want to hold, when using this specific setup, your shares or your position too much below the volume weighted average price, okay? So now we'll touch on this one more time. Also look at my risk to reward here, okay? So you can see that I enter here just slightly above the volume weighted average price, and if it breaches this low around 56.35, we'll call it, then my thesis is incorrect for the time being. But we held, and then we continued to push higher, all right? So another example. As you can see here, IBIT once again holding in the pre-market hours decisively above the volume weighted average price throughout the whole pre-market. And this is what I really like. This is one of my key setups, is you're holding VWAP in the pre-market hours, and then just before that open, you get that little pullback in price, a little liquidity grab, and then we start to appreciate. But I want you to see the similarities in the setup. Entry here, exit here, enter back in, okay? Same thing here. Entry here, I looked like we were holding the volume weighted average price. As soon as the volatility started to pick up and momentum to the downside, I'm out of the position, okay? What if I held that to there? I'm now taking an outsized loss. I don't want this. So entry 1, exit 1, okay? We hold these levels extremely well, and then we push back towards the volume weighted average price. And here's entry number 2, and then here's the additional add, and then that's where you just take partials out above the volume weighted average price. So these are my primary entry and exit signals in this specific setup here on IBIT, okay? So now, what OBI seen on his chart, this is perfect. We can classify this as support and resistance. It is a beautiful metric to use in this case, all right? So support, when price approaches VWAP from above, okay, and bounces off the indicator, this can determine buyer confidence at that key level, acting as support for the underlying asset, okay? So now in a resistance standpoint, when price approaches VWAP from below, its sellers may become more active, viewing the level as an opportunity to sell at fair or slightly increased value, causing the underlying asset to run into potential resistance levels, okay? So here is a prime example of Tesla yesterday, okay, folks? So I like this example. As you can see, the primary trend to the top side, and VWAP is holding and acting as key support levels. Is it an absolute brick wall? No, there's that elastic effect to it, as I mentioned before, but you can see we have the inability to breach and hold below the volume weighted average price. And for my cam traders who I mentioned before, beautiful bounce off of S4 here. I love that stuff. But as you can see here, guys, primary trend intact on Tesla, and VWAP acts as a primary support metric here, okay? So now let's look at it from a resistance standpoint, okay? Now this is a little bit of an extreme, but you can see here on NVDA last week, it sells off aggressively out of the opening drive and then has the inability to breach or even test the volume weighted average price, acting as a key resistance level. We have close to one touch here, but again, we don't look back, and this underlying asset continues to sell extremely aggressive, okay? So now you can see how we can use the volume weighted average price, not necessarily like a moving average because it smooths out more than a moving average, but again, it is acting as support here, and then is acting as resistance in this case, okay? So it's a beautiful metric to use for entry and exit, support and resistance levels. I think that's why this indicator is extremely popular amongst traders, okay? So now just some key tips before we close it off here. VWAP is an indicator of price. It does not dictate, okay? So you need to understand how price moves. You need to understand the ebbs and flows of the market in order to utilize this indicator, okay? So understanding the ebbs and flows of the market will help you utilize VWAP, all right? Unlike shorter period moving averages, VWAP will smooth out and does not fluctuate as much throughout the trading session. So if you're using the 9 EMA or the 20, you'll notice that it hugs price and it fluctuates with price action more than the volume weighted average price does, okay? So that is it for some VWAP lesson there, guys. If you have any questions on how Obi or I implemented more within our strategies, please put that within the chat. Obi will answer those from an extraordinary point of view, and I will do the best I can as well too. But Obi,
I don't know how extraordinary. Thank you so much, Joe, for that lesson on VWAP. But yeah, no, I don't know how extraordinary my point of view is. It's just I'm just a guppy in a huge worldwide ocean in these markets. But the ocean is vast and wide.
A lot of fish.
And there is a lot of volume.
Ooh.
In this ocean, and VWAP again could be a great place to look for all the fishies. But we were talking about WBA, like why I like that today. Today's earnings day 3. If you guys didn't know, WBA had pretty solid earnings a couple trading days ago, last Friday, and it did a bit of a number on the initial day. You can see here. We can take a look at this chart and kind of build that story. We talk about using these indicators with context, with perspective, and relative to certain types of price action, right? So it's like, all right, cool. Earnings day 1 was quite nice. We can throw up a VWAP on there. You can see that off of the open. It shows you that VWAP is strong. It's very clear that buyers are in charge in the pre-market session. Every time it does drop down into VWAP, you catch a little bit of a bid. Off of the open, you catch quite an aggressive bid where it holds 10 halves and then pushes up into 11.75s, eventually making a high of day just shy of that $12 mark. You can see the high of day was printed at $11.99, so just shy of that. Now, interestingly enough, yesterday we get no real continuation, even though on earnings day 1 we open near the lows and close near the highs. You revert about 50% of that price action all the way down, breaking this bid that did catch in the middle of the day, not really respecting VWAP as much, and then we catch a bid on top of 11. I'm like, all right, okay, cool. The sellers have dissipated and the bid catches back on. And I did take this trade yesterday for just a reversion back into VWAP, but oh boy, that reversion continued. We reclaimed that VWAP. We consolidated above VWAP for was it almost an hour? Yeah, over 2 hours. Sorry, over 2 hours. And then you break out of that consolidation going into the close, retesting that $12 area with a high on the day at 11.94, 11.95s. I think we're somewhere around the high print. So I'm like, okay, coming in today, let's see if we break that $12 earnings day 1 high. If the ticker is going to continue, again, strong sentiment. They reported well on their earnings, and we saw how the sentiment was taken on day 1, and the $12 area has shown up not only on day 1 but day 2 as well, where you do sell off, you aggressively bid back up. Throughout the rest of the day. That bid lasts for over 6 hours, right? So it's like, all right, well, who's in charge? On day 1, buyers were in charge. Day 2, yeah, we got that strong selling off of the open, but kind of buyers step right back in. And during the middle of the day, we start to realize, like, okay, well, we're holding VWAP, and then we break that VWAP consolidation. So who might be in charge on the day? Buyers, right? Coming into the day today, I'm looking at that $12 mark. I like that $12 mark. And off of the open, yeah, you get a little bit of a shake and bake, a little bit of a sell-off, and a reclaim of that VWAP. And you can see that it was holding, I think it was 11.90s. It was churning 11.90s between $12 and 11.90s quite well. Reclaim the VWAP. Every time it came down into VWAP, we got a bid and printed a fresh high, printed a fresh high, printed a fresh high with some strong volume at the highs at 12.35. And then you finally get a little bit of a quadunk. This was me kind of punching out of my position because I had to come up here for the show, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna cut it pretty close. I cut it pretty close. I had like 5 minutes left. I'm like, I'm not leaving this position.
I thought I was gonna have to fire it up on my own here.
No, don't worry, bro. I got you.
Got you.
I came right in time, and I'm like, all right, peace out of more than 90% of the position, and leaving on a little bit of a runner for that push back into, or risking back through that VWAP, and we did get stopped out, and that's perfectly fine. Got the trade that I was looking for that VWAP hold to push 12 to 1235s, and yeah, looking at a bigger picture as well, kind of bringing everything together, you can see that we sold off aggressively. I think this was June. Yeah, June 27th. You can see that WBA aggressively off earnings. We were trading at 15s. It slammed down all the way to 11s and 12s. So I'm like, all right, bit of a gap fill potential happening here as well with prior lows at 1387. But you continue to go back. Let me go on. Is this a 3 hour? Okay, perfect. This is a 3 hour. So you continue to go back, and we have not seen. Okay, we got to need a higher time frame for this one. Let's go. You know what? Let's go to the daily. Let's go to the daily so we can see that gap a little bit better here. So the gap kind of coming in at that 1380s right here, and then off of earnings from June. So we go back, keep going back. Oh boy, when are these lows from? 1269s here at these lows all the way from '08. Oh boy. All right, 1269. We didn't quite get to 1269s. We got to 1235. So all right, keep going back. What do I see here? Is a low at that 1250, but this low's all the way from 2000. Some of these prices we haven't necessarily really traded at since 1998 or 2000. And sure, we came back into the lows. We did trade a little bit lower for a good chunk of 2024, but that gap down, we're going for a little bit of a fill here. So all I see is a bit of air all the way up into mid 12s to maybe even 14s. Who knows? I have no idea. But the strong earnings reaction gapped us up above and into some of these prior highs and pushing past that 12-14 area as well. So I'm expecting a little bit, I was expecting a little bit of a chop and churn in and around the 12, but I did like that breakout through the 12 mark. But again, I think the swing traders are definitely winning on this one when they're, again, if you're getting in off of the open on earnings day one, we've only been kind of bidding up since they're still currently holding that 12. But again, it's a prime example of how VWAP can be used, not just on day one, on day two, and now day three of earnings, of events, just giving us an idea of where participants may potentially be sitting at. Again, it's at the end of the day, it's just a line on the chart. It's just an indicator. Price action is definitely still king, and what price action does in and around indicators like VWAP definitely matter for sure for me. But like we said, some people don't even have any indicators on the chart, and that's perfectly fine. And I've had this conversation with Wayne multiple times. It's just like, all right, cool. Indicators give you a nice place on the chart. You know, they make it easy for you. They give you a line, an area on the chart where you can be looking for buyers or sellers. The raw way to do it is to be like, all right, no lines. I am going to look for buyers and sellers that are distinctly different on the tape, and that's a whole different skill in itself, right? But when you have that VWAP as your confluence, then it makes life a little bit more easier, giving you an area where you might want to look at it. But at the end of the day, I still believe that price action is absolutely king. And I was having some conversations with Kyle Burdett in the chat about anchored VWAP. Again, shout out to Brian Shannon. Anchored VWAP is absolutely solid as well. Anchored off of certain events, volume events, price action events, all sorts of things. But yeah, another beautiful indicator.
Yeah, it is good stuff. And I like the way that Obi put that as well, too. I mean, it is an indicator. It does not dictate what price is going to do, but the way I like to look at it, it is a line in the sand for me, okay? So I look at it as a line in the sand, and then we all know that price can deviate from that. So what I kind of, in my earlier days was, okay, let me get a understanding of how the deviation of this indicator works for me. So I have a definitive line and then understand how price moves from point A to point B around that line, and then learn how to take advantage of that. So that's my primary, the boys know in the back here, that's my primary setup, is the VWAP breakup, and that's what I'm looking for a day-to-day basis. And when stocks are strong, that is especially what I'm looking to take advantage of. Sizing is a different factor, something that I definitely most need to work on without question, is when you have enough conviction and you have large enough sample sets, like we do with the Playmaker poll. I have binders of paperwork when I used to fill it out by hand of my time frame of when I was going to to take this trade and how I reacted around the volume weighted average price. So to simplify things, indicator, not a dictator, use it as a line in the sand and take it from that. Understand how price moves around that line in the sand, and then you can take advantage of that, guys, there. So someone in the chat asked me to take a look at Meta for them real quick here, guys. So if we can pull up my chart, that would be fantastic. Beautiful. Right now I got Eli Lilly because I know Adara was telling me that she was looking at some Eli Lilly. So I had to pull that up and see what she had going on over there. But you hear, pardon me? Oh, trend change. Okay, so yeah, she's out of that position on Eli Lilly. Let's talk a little bit about Meta platforms here, guys. We all know that Mark has kind of threw some jabs over here at Apple. We were talking about it yesterday.
Did you watch that the interview?
Yeah, I watched like the half of it with Joe Rogan. Did you watch the whole thing?
No, I haven't seen it at all. But,
yeah, so he throws a couple jabs at Apple there, lack of innovation, and et cetera. But here we are looking at Meta from an intraday standpoint. Not too much different from the overall market here, and actually didn't even react very well to this PPI like the rest of the market did. So slightly alarming and can indicate some potential weakness in this underlying asset. Now let's zoom out from a daily perspective and look at this from a daily perspective, okay? So I was looking at Meta and Google, and what we're starting to do is we're starting to approach some key support levels around that 580 right here. So now if we come and we test this, I am going to suspect, because we put in this double bottom right here, so that third touch with a failed to make a new all-time high right here, that if momentum picks up and we get a weak CPI print tomorrow, then I can think that Meta is going to breach eventually that key support level. I mean, is it a buy the dip scenario? I think the overall market is, but don't rush too much right now to get into these positions. Let that selling phase out, and then let momentum and let price tell you when we are ready to turn around. So it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not even be next week, but just be prepared. I think that if earnings are strong, we know that we're running into earnings season. Tomorrow we start with the banks, and then the weeks after we have these big names starting to report, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to these earnings reports and earnings season. So let's see what happens with Meta. If we come and touch 585, there might be some more downside to this thing. And a lot of people in the chat are talking about XXII. So we'll touch on XXII real quick before we send it back to Obi and see what this thing has been up to, because it has absolutely been in play the past couple of sessions. Yeah. From a daily perspective, I don't know how much attention you would pay to this, Obi. Me, if I seen this from a daily standpoint, I would be like, see you later. I would need to see some extreme catalysts coming in, some really big news events in order for me to want to participate, but it's not all about me. You guys want to talk about it, so let's take a look at it from an intraday perspective as well, too. So trading really nice, really strong 5-minute opening drive here, guys, and then breaks that 5-minute orb. And then again here, using VWAP as support and resistance, even though it is a little elastic here, but again, trading above the volume weighted average price and now going to test some new highs of days on XXI. Other than that, guys, in some TQs, we'll talk about IBIT real quick and then TQs, and we'll send it off to Obi. So again, playing the VWAP breakup on IBIT didn't work out, got out of the position at some key support levels being breached. And then now we're gonna catch some bottoms here on TQQs as we start to slowly climb higher here, slightly rejecting this. I don't know how strong the recovery was gonna be. NVDA once again raining on the parade. What do you got going on there, Mike?
Yeah, no, I'm watching that Nvidia as well. Got the futures on watch, and kind of reading the chat as well. Curious to know what you guys have been trading on the day today. We talk about this market being very bountiful in the types of opportunities, all different kinds. And yeah, that XXII as well. Again, not necessarily part of my playbook, but opportunities definitely there. Again, I think I was reading some Twitter posts yesterday about traders kind of capitalizing on some of those moves. We can see that small caps, if you run a scan in the pre-market session, you can see how many small caps are really running, and the opportunity set that may be being presented depending on whether or not you have playbooks set up for those small cap takers as well. But yeah, I think you're right. When those tickers get a lot of R-vol, some strong volume, I think there's definitely some edge there to be found. But I haven't really looked into it as deep as I really should be if I want to kind of be involved with those tickers. So I'm not going to say too much about that. Small caps not necessarily my cup of tea, but I'm getting comfortable watching them and kind of building a kind of idea around certain setups in and around some of those names. But again, very those ideas are in their infancy stage there. Nothing really concrete. But yeah, watching a lot of other tickers here as well. WBA was probably one of my top ideas as well. Oh boy, have you seen Fannie Mae today? Oh my God!
Yeah.
This thing is absolutely running. I'm looking at it right here. 5.6s all the way to 7.20s on Fannie Mae today. Oh boy, yeah. There's that. Like I said, lots of and that's traded on the pinks, right? So it's like, all right, there's markets everywhere that are definitely providing us with this solid opportunity. This thing is still going there.
I didn't even know about this Fannie Mae and Freddie.
Oh, it's been running
like a couple of weeks ago.
I know Wayne and Mateo are kind of in there as well. But yeah, bigger picture kind of trade. Again, it's another Trump trade as well. But absolutely wild price action. But yeah, no, another name I was watching was, I think, was it EIX? Yeah, Edison International was one of them. We can see, again, related to the fires in California. We can see that selling kind of started aggressively on this name on Wednesday. We got continuation on day 2 and day 3. I was like, all right, well, day 4. I had eyes on it yesterday, so that goes to show that I was late to the party as well. I got eyes on it like middle of the day, in and around 12:30, and I'm like, oh boy, this thing already sold off. And you can see kind of, again, showing us that VWAP. This blue line is VWAP off of the open. Majority of participants kind of sitting in and around those 74s, and it extends away from VWAP, showing us that selling pressure is definitely there on multiple days back to back. Coming in today, not really there as much just now, but again, if it gets below this 55, I like that. Day 4, maybe not as strong for the continuation. I'm just like, they've been dominant 3 days in a row, back to back. 2 of those days being very aggressively dominant, day 1 and day 3. And yeah, majority of day 2 having a very directional kind of action there as well. So we're going to get that on day 4. I don't know. I was skeptical, and I had, I guess, good reason as well, as we've only been pretty much mainly trading sideways. So nothing too crazy going on there as of yet. Maybe we get that continuation after some chop up. Again, I know you look into price action a lot as well. You always get those, like, for continuation trades, you get that leg consolidation leg, and some of these legs looking absolutely beautiful on some of these tickers that have a directional move with the strong catalyst, right? Yeah. So I think there's some insurance names as well, ALL as well, Allstate. We saw these ones catch a bit of a move or relative volume since last week, but not really selling off as aggressively as Edison International there. So distinctly different, and I think Edison also does something else. They're in a different business than some of these insurance companies as well. So stuff to keep an eye on. Again, yes, very it's a disaster. It's very sad, and hopefully everyone is safe and recovering well if you have been affected by it. But at the end of the day, we are day traders, and if something is moving to the upside, to the downside, if there's buyers and sellers, there's definitely opportunity to get involved, and that's how we want to be kind of keeping the perspective, trying to keep emotions and bias out of it as much as possible. There, you gotta leave the human at the door when you come and sit down on the desk.
Most definitely. And to be honest with you,
think about it.
Yeah, and to be honest, what we were talking about before, and you mentioned this as well, Obi, is that like you could care less about the numbers on the side of the chart or the ticker,
yes.
right? It's essentially, right, it's price action. And I couldn't agree more with Obi, and how we interpret that price action is totally subjective. But again, when things are in play, this is what we're looking for. This is what Obi is looking for on a day-to-day basis. If you were to eliminate the numbers on the side of the chart and then eliminate the ticker as well too, that's not going to affect your trading. That's not going to affect your thought process and how you plan and build your thesis in the morning. So I look at it as like that as well too. So I really like that part. But yeah, we're going to send it off to Adara and then bring it back to Obi and I.
Just be aware of Meta here trying to consolidate at the lows. WhatsApp reportedly, or they just announced here, they're introducing selfie stickers, camera effects, quicker reactions, and some sticker pack sharing to help enhance the chatting experience. So WhatsApp here with some new features. Keep an eye on its owner, META, guys.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Don't forget to like.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, guys, make sure you like. If you enjoyed the lesson today that Obi and I brought forth, just hit that like. It helps the channel out a lot. Much appreciated. And also when you guys chime in too, so and don't forget to share. Yeah, so make sure you guys share that. Tell your friends, tell your family, and let everybody know that we are here trading live for you guys. But yeah, I mean, going back to that price action, I think that's really key and really important how Obi said, just leave those emotions at the door. It's not as easy as it may sound, but I guess over time you get more...
You have to be dead inside.
Yeah, well, because it'll make you dead inside if you care too much, absolutely. So just think from a mechanical standpoint. Think as if you are an algo yourself, just coming in to operate and just do your own job.
Yeah, it's a good mindset. And again, shout out to Wayne for kind of bringing this, I guess this personality, this character, this historical figure into my perspective is Musashi. I don't know if you guys chime in the chat if you guys know who Musashi is. Kind of way of the warrior. He was a samurai, I think, during the Edo period, and kind of his way of battle and mindset, and coming into battle these markets every day, kind of you got to show up with the right mindset, with the right tools, and with the right armor as well. Kind of that being that risk management, and again being able to effectively use your mental capital in moments of distress and moments of stress as well. But yeah, no, I think it's a great mindset to have. You got to have, it borders that like a kind of like a stoic mindset as well, which I try my best to kind of follow. At the end of the day, I'm not as good as I'd like to be, but again, I've come a long way in how my mental has changed over the past 2 years to kind of tackle on some of these what do you call obstacles that I have in my trading journey relative to the market. But yeah, no, that meta trending to the downside. I always forget that WhatsApp is owned by Meta. But yeah, interesting stuff there. I don't think we're not getting too much volume on that. A little bit of a downtrend here. I just want to do a quick check of these Mag 7 real quick. So yeah, Nvidia to the downside, Softy as well. Take a quick look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. VWAP sellers, are they in charge? Every time we've gone up to VWAP, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, exactly. 418 is a little bit of a crazy stance there. Yeah. On Softy, right? So it's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter what the ticker is. It's a concept that if you see that it's working, that you might want to take a look at it when it does revisit that VWAP as well. Let's take a look at Goggle. There's Softy printing some fresh lows as the market comes to the downside. Oh boy. Yeah. 21 100 all the way down to 20,900, trading below that now, and yeah, can't really get past this 59.10 on the ES as well. We did wick up a little bit higher there into what seems to be just in the 59 teens, but can't really make it, slumming back through that 5900. It was talking, I think it was Day Trader Cut in the chat. I was like, yeah, he said he's been trading futures this morning, and I'm like, yeah, what a wash on the futures. You can see it on the 15-minute chart right here. Slam down at 10:45, wash up on the next 15-minute candle and then flushes right back down for a continuation to the downside. So making still, even though we had that wash, we still technically made lower highs and lower lows, and we got that continuation to the downside, and we're seeing that happen. Let's see how my friend Amazon is doing on the day today. 221s. Okay, all right. So yeah, let's see. Amazon again. Amazon, interesting ticker. We're coming into earnings season, right? We're coming into a lot of these large caps are going to start reporting their first earnings of the year. The Q4 earnings report is going to be coming out in the next few weeks. Earnings season is, or we've pretty much started it. We have banks tomorrow. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. We already got that DAL and Walgreens on Friday. We might have had some other earnings as well, kind of trickling in, but bigger names yet to come on the day here. Yeah, day trader cut saying facts, bro. Yes, definitely. That wash was wild. Hopefully, you know, we kind of. Yeah, Fabian. He said Hawk 2 in the facts. He put the Hawk 2 in the facts. Yes, thank you. I didn't know what to take off of that, but yes. Amazon continuing to the downside. Meta we saw as well. I know there's one that we're missing. Sometimes I like to take a look at Berkshire as well. Again, this ticker is also somewhat related to what's going on in California, as they might hold and do some insurance business themselves. And you can see on Friday, aggressive selling that they had with relative volume, doing about 2.5 times. Again, for a ticker like Berkshire, doing about 2.5 times to 3 times RVOL in the middle of the day is definitely a little significant. And you can see the range and the volatility that the ticker had on the day as well. Pretty outlier as well.
Glitch in,
yeah. Was it Berk A?
I think it was B. I think it was B.
I think no, it might have been Berk A.
Was it A? Yeah.
Berk A, because I remember that wash that happened, and that was absolutely wild. Let's see if we can go back and kind of find when that was. It happened sometime during last year. There it is. Found it right there.
Was it Berk A?
Yeah, it was Berk A, man. And Berk A definitely kind of wiped. This is a 15-minute candle from Monday, June 3rd, 2024 on Berkshire, where these are the Class A shares trading at $630,000. And you can see a little bit of a wipe. Into the ask. It would seem that maybe a fat finger, whatever it was, wipes all the way from 6 threes to 7.4, 741,000, almost 742,000 there, and then slams right back in. A little bit of an inefficiency, definitely getting captured by algos who are sitting on the sidelines, waiting for crazy things like this to happen. But oh boy, that was a bit of a wipe there on Berk A. And have we traded anywhere higher than that? What was that? 74. Okay, we'll say 741. And no, we've been kind of we've clocked underneath that level since, but absolutely crazy. Maybe pinging some liquidity all the way at the highs there. Kyle Burdett saying SPY at prior day anchor VWAP. Now let's take a quick look at Spider there as well. Yes, Sharif. Big SPY Burdett coming in with those anchored VWAPs. I was having a conversation with him earlier today of anchored VWAPs and how we like to use them, and yeah, some interesting things to discover in and around those anchored VWAPs as well. A little bit of a downtrend. We saw that FOMC on December 18th, aggressive selling that came into the markets there off of the FOMC, kind of at 2 p.m., kind of bringing in a strong sentiment of selling. Since then, we've made lower highs relative to where that selling came in from, 602s, 600 failure to follow through, lower high, and now we're trading much lower as well, 585s. But again, taking a look at the bigger picture here, are we within trend? And I think just by looking at these candles, we are well within trend as of right now. Nothing crazy has necessarily broken just yet here. So a bit of a base. So what was this base? This was October. Yeah, so 2022 October. A bit of a base low there, structure low that we're coming up off of. So we've been kind of accelerating since then. You can see, but yeah, within trend as of right now. And yeah, bigger picture. Spider. Stonks only go up, right? Maybe you have periods of years where from, I guess, 2000 to like 06, you kind of trade a little bit sideways. But again, you zoom into it. Some of it was directional. It was directional for a good chunk, and then directional back up to the upside as well. So as long as the market's moving in some sort of direction, I think we're always thankful, thankful and appreciative of that there, and Spider well within the trend. So some selling going on over the past few weeks since that FOMC, pretty aggressive. Let's see if we follow through going into the new year, or we are in the new year, coming in off of the Q1 as of right now. But let's see what we do with the Spider, but well within trend is what I basically want to point out there. NVIDIA, oh boy, yeah, I want to show this NVIDIA right here. So a bit of a trend hold on that NVIDIA, absolutely beautiful coming in. Look at that, nice clean. So we talk about anchors and VWAPs kind of holding. Look at that VWAP kind of doesn't even want it off of the open. And Kyle Burdett, you said anchor that VWAP to that Wednesday, and I did. Well, Wednesday open, and yeah, that is where that sellers step right back in. So aggressive selling past Wednesday, and where does sellers step back in and around the same area, marked by that anchored VWAP coming in today. And yeah, all the way from 135s to 130. So if you had the idea to get short on that price action, oh boy, the follow through has been quite nice. Are we set for a reversion? I don't know, but I'm keeping eyes on this one.
Maybe, yeah, keep an eye, because anything can happen. We know we have CPI as well tomorrow, guys. But we have a couple people in the chat. Darius Golden, I haven't forgot about you. And then there's an individual who asked us to take a look at MSTR as well too, and just kind of referring it to from a Bitcoin standpoint. So guys, let's take a look at MSTR. Pull up my chart here. And it's tough, okay? So we found this base here, had this base marked out, and then we breach it. Okay, but we have the inability to hold below this support system, and now price is starting to compress. I want to see where price is going to break from this standpoint and see if it goes to the top side. Bitcoin is going to need to appreciate in order for a MicroStrategy to start to get back onto that trajectory. I mean, by all means, if we hit that 250,000 or the 250, 180, you're going to see MSTR start to recover. Until then, it's going to be a little bit of a tough look. So because they're so highly correlated, when one starts to work, the other will as well. But not necessarily inverse, though, because just because MicroStrategy is appreciating, it doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin is. It's usually tracking Bitcoin, because we all know Michael Saylor's game plan, okay? Now, Darius Golden says he has some NVIDIA puts, 131 with a break even of 28, okay? And expires at the end of the week. Now, Darius, I love that you like putting on risk, but this is the options game, okay? Time, and one thing, just through my experience, it's always worth it to just pay for more time, okay? Because you don't want that option to expire worthless. One thing that is positive is that you have CPI coming in tomorrow, and if you bought those earlier in the week, you're not necessarily going to be paying for that implied volatility. That implied volatility can start paying you, especially if the market doesn't take it well and then we start to dump. You can definitely hit those price targets, okay? That is really key, but one thing is just always give yourself a little bit more time than what you need, just in case your thesis doesn't plan out or work out necessarily as quick as you would like it to, okay? But let's take a little bit deeper look into what can happen. If CPI comes in a little weaker than expected, then that can be good for the market and we start to pump. But if you start to sell it, either way, that volatility is gonna step into the market, and that can benefit your contract more or less to the downside, but also just from an implied volatility standpoint. Are you gonna hit 128 this week? There's a chance, right? If we breach some of these key support levels, then absolutely, you're gonna look for your next targets, and that's south of 128, in my opinion here. Sorry, let me move this here. So here's some key levels. As you can see, we got multiple touches, 1, 2, 3, even 4. You can classify it at that 128 level. If CPI comes in, the street doesn't like it, it can absolutely tank south of that. But again, Darius, I'll tell you from time and time again, and from my experience, when you are going directionally biased, not necessarily credit spread trading, just buy the time, okay? Just buy the time, all right? I'll emphasize on that. Enough, like, again, if it's up to you, it's your trading style, but again, you don't want to just be always stuck with time constraints, and that's just my opinion, okay? And I was just thinking about yesterday, even when you're buying out the monies, like if you're buying out the money calls or puts and you're looking for that that volatility or that gamma squeeze, you still want to buy that time, because what if you're just a little off on your timing and then sure enough, theta just destroys the value of your contract before you get that move, and then you get that move and you're like, well, why haven't I been profitable on that? Well, theta just diminished the value of that contract, all right? I was just looking at the chain the other day being like, oh, okay, let's see what happens if I were to buy these out the monies for say 50 cents with an expiry that's 4 months out or 5 months out. Yeah, I can still participate in that gamma squeeze. I can still participate in that increase in delta if it decides that price wants to appreciate rapidly, because I've given myself enough time that theta won't chew up the value of those contracts, and then gives me the ability to participate in those gamma squeezes and those delta moves, all right, guys? So those long-dated contracts don't pay. Tough, bro. We need Lambos by the weekend. All right, yeah.
Come on, bro. We need Lambos by the weekend.
By the weekend, I hear you, man.
Get on those
I hear
weeklies.
you.
Give us those 200-300% movers.
Yeah. I mean, that's the good stuff, right? But again, I just gave an example of what Day Trader Cut was saying, is that we need those long-dated contracts don't pay. That's not necessarily true, because if you were to buy an out the money, like I can show you an out the money contract that expires in 4 months that you pay $1 for, and that gives you enough time that if you think there's going to be an exuberant amount of volatility to step in, you can still be beneficial from that gamma squeeze or that delta increase as well too. So it's not necessarily that quick money. There's ways that you can manipulate the options contracts to still participate in those fronts. All right, but Day Trader Cut, we all want the
Would you ever sell zero DTEs?
Would I sell
like,
zero DTEs?
Say you're looking at a chain and you're just this is mispriced,
yeah.
And you're like, well, this is going to close, and this is obviously a little mispriced, or this is ridiculous. Would you be willing to sell zero DTEs?
Yeah, the options market is smart, man. They know, like, okay, so I've experimented in buying and selling zero DTEs, and I had little to no success while doing it, just because of the gamma at the closing when those contracts expire is vast. And the fluctuation of those contracts is too much. It's just like I couldn't sit in them for too long, because you never know what could happen. I've experimented with them. Maybe I don't have a large enough sample size, but I put myself through enough pain when I was trading at home, just experimenting with that. I was like, okay, that's enough. Let's go back to selling credit on a weekly basis and constructing condors and et cetera is where I found the most success. I'm not saying it's not achievable. I know people do. It just didn't work for me. So I was just like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not entering at the right time or anything along those lines. But don't forget, the options market is smart and will just essentially price you out. Like, you're not going to sell, like, so if we go to a zero DTE right now on the VIX, and you want to sell the 18 calls, yeah, you can make $100, but what if it starts to fluctuate rapidly? It's not the best example. Let's pull up SPY here, because this is the most traded vehicle, and just look at the zero DTEs and see what you'd be collecting from a premium standpoint. 0 days, and then, like, look, you can just see the fluctuation in these contracts already. So if I were to want to sell the 580s, which we're trading at around, what are we trading at right now? 579. So I would collect $120, but then my probability of profit it's pretty high. It's 64%. Yeah. But the fluctuation within that contract it was just too vast for me.
That's fair. Yeah. I was looking into like zero DTs, not necessarily on the Spider, but on some of these runners, some of the maybe some small caps that are optionable as well, kind of going into the end of the week, and maybe you have a bunch of hopeful contract buyers kind of YOLOing it, and you see an opportunity where it's just like, yeah, Will, this is clearly going to expire at zero.
It's there for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you're right in terms of like a lot of that is definitely made efficient by a lot of market participants there, and yeah, some option algos maybe potentially all over some of those inefficiencies. But yeah, interesting hold here on WBA. Going to continue watching this going into the end of the day here. Still grinding and holding that $12 area. We've maintained a support on top of that opening range kind of consolidation as well as of right now. So And continue watching this one. The market's heavy to the downside as well currently, so I'm gonna look for a potential bounce there. If it does come in, I have no idea. I have no idea what the market's going to do. But if and when the bounce does come in, maybe we get that confluence here on WBA and maybe some other names as well. We were talking about that Nvidia, right? Nvidia starting to trade a little bit sideways. So yeah, we've technically broken a bit of the downtrend. But here's the thing: just because you've broken it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna just bid up. Now, trend break doesn't necessarily mean reversal. It could just mean the trend is slowing down. So we could still bid lower, just in a slower fashion, or this trend is just not going to do anything. We're just going to consolidate sideways as well. So a lot of different instances that can come off of the trend break. So going to continue watching that one. A little bit of a bid coming back here on this WBA. So maybe miss in the reload, but like I said, I'm going to stay patient. I'm curious to know what you guys have been trading as well. We know that earnings season is coming up, so something that I'm kind of doing is just preserving my mental, not really putting aggressive risk on anywhere. Nothing too crazy. Nothing I know that I won't be able to kind of piece back if I do take a hit on it within at least a day or two. So yeah, earnings season on the horizon there. Are there any tickers that you are kind of anticipating or looking forward to?
For tomorrow, yeah, I wanna take a hard look at JPM,
Yes.
one of my favorite banks, the biggest banks. So yeah, JPM is going to be my hyper focus. I want to see how that report comes out, if it's positive, if the street perceives it well, and that guidance. I'm always going to be looking for that forward guidance. I think with strong guidance, the street always likes that, and you'll see them start to price that in the earlier sessions. So yeah, JPM tomorrow is going to be my number one, and Citi, I think. Citi.
Yeah, we'll see how some of the banks come out. But yeah, banks definitely going to be on watch. I think again we got some Mag 7s coming in the coming weeks as well. So excited for those. Yep. Yeah, let's see what this new year and this market kind of not really a new market, but this market. Let's see what it continues to bring us here. I think we're in for, when it comes to market opportunities, I think we're in for an exciting next 4 years, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
But things have already begun. Like we've going into the beginning of the new year, we know that 2024 was pretty solid in terms of opportunities. Lots of learning that I did on my part. A lot of good reps that were put in, and let's see if those potential opportunities continue to show up in the new year, and maybe some of those reps from 2024 will start to pay off decently here. But I gotta start trading these futures, man. Have you ever touched futures at all?
You know what, dude? I know next to nothing about futures, unfortunately.
But you watch them as like, I know you watch the TQs.
I watch TQ.
Well,
I watch TQs.
right? And then if you're trading something like AMD or like Nvidia, you're finding yourself watching the TQs as well.
I watch. Yeah, always keeping my eye on obviously the spider and the overall market.
Like sometimes I like try to take a move on like Apple or AMD or Nvidia. Again, some of these market leaders or sector leaders as well. And I realize that the move on futures is much cleaner, but I'm using futures as an indicator to kind of give me that confidence.
Do you know why that is? Like so many futures traders are like, man, it's so much more clean. Like the price action is cleaner on the futures contracts.
I think it definitely is a little bit cleaner there.
Do you know why that is? Like I have no idea. That's one thing I think I'm going to start.
I lack experience in that, so I don't know why it might be cleaner. But again, things are very directional. Things are very strong. Lower highs and lower lows as well. Yeah, day trader cut. I see that.
Said I would love futures. It's like I couldn't even like the E-mini and the macro. Like I know little about them. I mean, if I understand the fundamentals and how they work, then yeah, maybe I'll look to start to participate in them. Absolutely. But thank you for your appreciate that RFID.
It's like options is little brother without the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's there are no Greeks. That's why it's cleaner, no premium IV to worry about. Yeah, and that's what a lot of futures traders stick by them. They're avid about it. So yeah, that's good stuff. But I had a good question in the chat, and I forget how exactly what it went, but it went along the lines is, Joe, but out the money options don't pay anything. The delta on them is extremely small, and why is that? The options contract doesn't fluctuate that much. That's great because let me kind of put my thoughts together and explain this to you as best as I can and as simplistic as I can in layman's terms. So when you are at the money, delta is almost neutral, okay? So that's where you get that delta neutral, and then it increases the more you are in the money, okay? So when you are out the money, the reason why that contract doesn't fluctuate that much is because the delta, it has a small or low delta. As you start to get closer to at the money, then that's when that delta starts to increase, okay? And then when you are in the money, that's when that delta is hitting its full potential. But what this can lead to is, okay, you're buying, why people buy out the money is because you have that low delta, and with that comes that low gamma, okay? So when you have those, but then you get that volatility step in, and you have those out the money contracts, and price starts to rapidly appreciate towards your strike price, that is when you can get those gamma and delta squeezes, okay? Because as you get closer to at the money, that delta increases, and then when you are in the money is when it can start to reach its full potential. So yes, the contracts will not fluctuate that much when you are out the money because it has a low delta and gamma. So hopefully that helps you as well too. Hopefully it's not too complicated. I tried to make that as simplistic as possible. And hopefully you guys get a general understanding of that, okay? And that is why I like to write out the money contracts, okay? I write out the money contracts because the delta and gamma are at its lowest, okay? And that's what I want. I don't want those contracts to fluctuate too much while I am selling options, okay? So hopefully that answered your question. Guys, the market is continuing to sell. The TQ is down about 1.8%. Let's take a look at what the actual Qs are down here, Obi, to see what nothing crazy, but again, down about 0.6% here on the session. You want to leave them with some thoughts? I know you got, you're gonna switch it up here, but again, want to touch on something before you leave? Anything you like?
Nothing much. I would say, you know, protect the mental. Wait for the strong opportunities in the market. That's what I'm trying to do as well. Let's see what this market brings us here. So hopefully you guys have a good rest of the trading day. I'll pass it back to Joe, and Sharif will be on in just a minute. Take it easy, guys.
Appreciate Joe. That guy right there. Obi, oh boy. Yeah, guys, so again, really weak market. It looks like that the Qs were just somewhat of a liquidity grab on that PPI print today. Greg saying 60 BPS. Yeah, there we go, Greg. We're down about 60 basis points on the session here. Thanks for that, brother. Yeah, we took a couple stabs here, guys. Let's pull up the TQs and IBIT. Those are the only two shots. Those are the only two shots I fired here on the session thus far, and they both haven't worked for me. Again, VWAP acting as resistance, and we're extremely weak on the day, so you want to look for the trend continuation until those definitive signals start to arise and show themselves, display themselves. Then I'm gonna have to look to continue here and sell these pops on the overall market. So unfortunate look here. Even though IBIT is still up about 2.2%, I know I'm not gonna complain about that, but guys, we're gonna send it off to Adara, and then it is Neil with his lesson of the day.
Let's take a look here at the futures, which are, or I guess the S&P 500, which is decidedly red, though looks like we could be trying to bounce at this previous support area that would be going back to Friday. Let's see what this mid 578 area has to bring us, but likely more downside. We also had some updates here in addition to the PPI prints, which came in. We were positively initially well received by the market. Donald Trump saying that now there will be the External Revenue Service. Maybe it'll be called the ERS. This will be apparently for collecting tariffs, duties, and revenue coming from foreign sources. So just a quick update there. Interesting stuff. We know that the Fed has really been saying they're going to be having to analyze the policies coming in from Donald Trump. So this External Revenue Services could be on watch. Now, also on watch, a lot of the tickers today are looking like this. We have a down move and then just a lot of consolidation. Tesla initially pretty strong off the open, now still up in the day, but trying to potentially flat bottom break at this 404 level. We know Elon Musk is on watch here, potentially set, or at least the Chinese government likes him as a potential target here to buy TikTok for the US. Then we have Eli Lilly, which is pretty beaten up here. They dropped below the $800 level with guidance that was not as well received. They actually initially still are guiding pretty significant revenue growth, but it's 3% lower than their previous guidance, so the market is not a fan. Eli Lilly about 7% lower right now. And we are brought to you by Prop Firm Match. Are you a skilled trader, but you're lacking capital? Prop firms offer the opportunity to trade with simulated funds, allowing you to showcase your skills, access account sizes ranging from $5,000 to $500,000, and you can start with as little as $20. But with over 500 prop firms out there, how do you find out which ones are best? That's where Prop Firm Match steps in. Prop Firm Match is your go-to platform for finding and comparing only the most esteemed firms with proven track records and consistent long-term payment histories. Access over 4,500 verified reviews, explore payout histories, and discover the best current deals all in one place. Scan the QR code or visit propfirmmatch.com today and find the perfect prop firm for you. Let's check out Neil and what he has to say in his always exciting lesson of the day. Without further ado, take it away, Neil.
Welcome, Adair. I feel like I say there's a term I use all the time is compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. But when it comes to risk management, and there's a couple of videos or shorts that are going to come out where I talk about risk management. And I'm going to double down on something which is we're probably going to put out in the next couple of days. You might have even heard me recording it. Because to our live audience, you guys, this is an important one. Because you'll often hear, hey, like this stock was a win, that stock's a loss. You're up or down, but you might trade 4, 5, 6 different types of strategies and different types of stocks. And what can get lost in the sauce is not comparing apples to apples. Like there's nothing, I'm going to show you 3 stocks today. I'm going to show you Mara, I'm going to show you Intel, I'm going to show you Tesla. When you are grading a trade, you are grading that trade against itself. It's a weird thing to think about because when you look at your P&L at the end of the day and you take a bunch of different trades, they all stack up against each other. But in the long run, that is flat out not how it works. I don't care what any trader tries to tell you. What matters on an individual trade is what you make versus what you lose on that trade if it goes against you, on that trade if it loses. Not how much you lose on trade B relative to how much you made on trade A if those have nothing to do with each other. Now, ultimately, you want to have winning strategies. So yes, you should care to have as many winning strategies as possible. But here's going to show you an example of judging your trade based on its own risk management. And I'm not going to just show you winners because I think that's boring. I want to start off with Intel, which to me, let me just break the whole trade down. There's your quadruple bottom, all-time low on Intel, then another hold of 1875. So I'm looking gap and go strategy where it breaks above the double top resistance, breakout to here, stop under here. Targets to there and there, right? So you're long, take some on the break, leave myself some room because I want to be risking. I'll get into why, but 15 pennies here above this top end break. So we take some breakout, but leave ourselves some room so that we have a 15-cent risk. Well, if it breaks this top, that's 40 to 1970. So first resistance is 30 cents away. So that's why I wanted to make sure I had a price of about 45. So if it breaks that 30s, I'm out risking 15, 16 pennies. If it works, first target, second target, want to make sure we're scalping into here and then scalping into there, the second half of the position. That's the risk to reward on that trade. That trade has to stand on its own based on those merits. That has nothing to do with when I'm looking at Mara. It doesn't matter what I'm up or down on Mara, if I'm up 10x Mara relative to Intel, or I'm up 1% of what I lost on Intel on Mara, because this trade needs to be graded against itself. So when something doesn't work, was it within my risk parameters on Intel? Absolutely, because had it worked, I'm easily going to be able to get 2 to 1, 3 to 1, and I don't hold it past my stop. I don't take anything more than I need to. And a similar idea here, and this is what it looks like when it works. Now in Mara, I could have been a little bit more aggressive adding to the short position. Now the basic idea is a similar one, except I'm bearish on Mara. Tries to break out, never does break out the 1820. My short is back through 18, give to the local high. Here's where it gets a little bit trickier. Now, I said openly that I wanted more shares of Mara, but given that it was 1820 to 1825 that I was considering where I was wrong, much like that 30 stop on Intel, taking all in as it's breaking down under 18 was skewing the risk to reward. Now, the current high of the day was only 13 pennies. But if it broke that high, I wanted to be wrong at 18.25. Now, if I load in here at 17.99 and then just simply take more and more and more shares on the way down in, adding here, adding there, and I'm scalping into the same range that I do at 17.70. That's about 30 pennies into the low. See how I'm aggressively scalping out? That only makes sense because I am not all in, admittedly, on that 18 level. So therefore, I'm not actually risking full risk into 18.20 because I only got a half a position because it never got up into that top. So therefore, scaling out in here is going to still make sense 2-to-1. Now, if I jump in here and take a full position that I'm risking 1.5% on, and I'm scaling out aggressively for an average price of 10 cents or 15 cents, that's 25 to 30 cents worth of risk with slippage. So if I'm grading it against itself, aggressively adding in here and still giving it above the high of the day is no good. Because even though it would have ended up working, relative to what would have happened if I was wrong, that's not a good trade. And that's why I kept saying I did not get all into Mara, because I didn't want to violate my rules. I'll give you one last one in here. Mara just can't seem to get out of its way, by the way. I'm holding on to a small piece. We have our patented like 5% left on it, just letting it ride. I'll give you a similar example with Tesla. Now, Tesla is a prime example of this is a clean breakout trade that it broke 420. Breakouts are different from other trades. You gotta grade these types of breaks, not just against each other, but on that particular stock. Now, when we were all bullish on Tesla, and I think we know when this was all happening in Tesla breakouts from the month of December up until maybe like close to the end of the year, they were pretty much the best trades out there. NVIDIA had some breaks that were like that. But again, you've got to be able to measure it against itself. This 420 break, ultimately, I could have scalped aggressively on this. And I admitted here that I'm scalping into the 2021 on the initial push. We reload it. When it comes back in, it does not get back above that 21 high, so there's no reload a third time, and it's a simple stop out. The only thing that I should be grading this against is not a dip buy on Tesla, not an afternoon trade on Tesla if you happen to have that run, but what the other breakouts looked like on one of those crazy runs in December. And if I look back, and I took multiple shots at Tesla today, so if I take 2-3 swings at a breakout on Tesla today, and I've lost more than what we had in December, then that's not going to be good. But in this particular case, you've got to make sure that you A, size correctly, B, adhere to your stop levels, and try to lose less than what the breakout would make for you. Because ultimately, every style of trade is different. Tesla had the opportunity to have been by far the worst stock I could have had today. However, it is 1/10 of the loss of what we had on a breakout trade back in December. It doesn't matter what it is relative to stock B, C, and D, because they have nothing to do with each other. Tesla breakout has to do with Tesla breakout. Now, I might make it akin to NVIDIA breakout because those have similar properties as well when they're going, but there is nothing similar about this when comparing, say, Tesla to Intel to Mara. Ensure you compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges, because the one thing traders always get wrong, excuse me as I'm choking, always get wrong, is they do not grade the trade relative to the risk that they put on in that trade. So if you would have lost, say $100 on a trade, if it went through your stop, but you only made $50 on that trade, that's not good risk to reward. You've got to be able to measure it against what the risk you put on, how much it drew against you, and then you have a sound understanding of what to scale up. There is your lesson of the day. I'm sipping a glass of water as we speak.
Dang.
We got to do it.
Oh, man.
Thank you very much, Neil. Informative, eloquent.
told him.
Just
I told him. I
all-around
told
awesome
him.
as
I
always,
told
bro.
him. I told
I don't know
him.
what's going on here,
Yeah, it's
Joseph.
insane.
You need answers.
Bro, I need
need
answers, man.
answers.
Hey, I know. I tried to switch it up this morning intentionally too, and I was like, all right,
we were completely different colors than we were
bro,
yesterday. Like,
yeah,
no overlap
yeah,
whatsoever.
none
It's like-
whatsoever. Yeah, so there we go.
Yes, sir.
Matching once again. Great minds think alike, apparently.
There it is.
Yeah, but Obi said something about some samurai guy. Earlier in the chat, I forget what his name was, but it brought me to the thought because on my way in here this morning, I was like, and it's a common saying, is I would rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And what,
Warrior in a gardener in a garden rather than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
you'd be completely out of place in gardener where you could probably get clipped real quick.
Clip liberty because there's no gardening out in those ends. So yeah, I was just thought about that. But I was just watching some videos, Sharif, of just kind of like kids in China and stuff. These guys like train martial arts and like avid in sports and stuff. And like we're over here banning tobogganing hills and stuff like that. It's just like, man, yeah, like what is going on? Like these kids are in combat and we can't even go down a hill that has some snow on it.
It's a little different out there.
Oh my God, crazy stuff.
How was the morning?
It was good, man. It was good.
Selling off, I see.
Giving everything back
baby.
from PPI. So
Yeah, well, I don't think PPI is the more important print anyway. It's CPI to our wholesale stuff for producer price indexes, closely watched, obviously, but not as much as the CPI, the consumer price index. Obviously, that has a lot more effect. Guys, sorry, I'm just adding the small cap gappers right now to the set side chart over here. It's a very light day in small cap gapper world. There were a few triple digit winners to start out the day. They're fading and fading quickly. There's a few holdouts over here that I'm going to keep my eye on. We have one of them currently halted to the upside. It goes by the ticker DRIO, Dario Health, a healthy $43 million market cap, and if you couldn't tell, I was being awfully sarcastic. The volume, though, a little bit suspect. It just started to trade. Here we go. Now it's breaking out. Buck 40 right now, and the volume picking up incrementally. Have a look at those volume bars, baby. Those volume bars started basically meaning something at 12:05. Everything before that was bupkis in terms of actual volume traded. So we're going to keep an eye on this one. This one was halted for 5 minutes initially at that buck 16. Buck 38 now, HOD, as it comes back into that buck 24. DRIO, looking over here to see if there is a headline on it, and there is. So here it is, Dario Health expands. Oh, GLP-1's GLP-1 weight loss solution unlocking new revenue streams in the rapidly growing multi-billion-dollar market. So we're going to keep an eye on DRIO. Obviously, counter to that is Eli Lilly getting shellacked today they basically forecasted early their earnings, and the market was none too plussed about that. Adara was telling me about some of the Lilly trades she had today, so we're going to keep an eye out on the Lilsters over here. It's basically doing a bear flag. This is LLY right here. It had one breach of the volume weighted average price. The others over here all rejected VWAP. There's the symphony of selling off that 800 print, and we tank all the way to the low of day of basically below 730, 729 and change. LLY really taking it on the chin today, so we're going to keep an eye on that. Got some holdovers from yesterday, but we'll talk more about them once we're finished paying some bills.
Pay some bills, guys. Worksport introducing a new discovery on the NASDAQ. Worksport, ticker WKSP, all right? Worksport is a U.S.-based manufacturer and rapidly expanding with growing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off-grid. Whether you're on the move or seeking sustainable energy solutions, Worksport has you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ under WKSP. Discover the future of clean energy with Worksport, folks. So, hey, there it is. The QR code is in the description. Hit the link, scan that QR code. If you're looking to get into some work sport.
Hey, there it is. All right, we're weaseling into DRIO. We're going to wait for the pullback into that $1.16, $1.18. Let's see now if it gives us the gap fill over here. There we go. We're going to take the now it's going to be that $1.14. Sorry, $1.13 that we're going to give this to right here. So let's put in the order to basically what I'm looking for is for it to hold the halt gap. Okay, we halted at a $1.16, so if it fills that halt gap on the first attempt, I want nothing to do with it. Okay, it's likely going to be a Christmas tree retracement if it does that. We're long a $1.27, we're printing a $1.23. Here it comes. It looks like we're going to get stopped out for the first trade of the day as it does fill the gap. 114 now showing up on the level 2, and there we go. We'll get stopped out there. So we still have a little bit left. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, so we didn't take out the entire thing. Let's see if this one continues to run. I'm okay staying with this unless it drops below $1.14 again. So DRIO up 50%. It's a midday mover over here. Let's see if this one can curl back into the upside. Into a $1.20 we go. So we're holding about 50% of the position that we originally had here on DRIO. Very anemic small cap gappers today, but there are a few. We'll talk about SPI as well as XXII. Those are two holdovers from yesterday. So let's keep an eye out here, Joseph, on DRIO. See if this bad boy can hold up at said level. What are you looking at, sir?
Yeah, nice look there, my guy. In some TQQs here, might get stopped out as we start to break down diamond hands. Are you still short? Are you short there? That's 78. Short 78 on TQs. So I don't know, $3 at least in the money from our guy to the right of us who just came back from the gym. What was that? What was the session today, my guy? Swimming. All right, how many laps you get in? 42. 42. Okay.
1.2 kilometers. Hey, we have short Apple, $3 in the money, short NASDAQ, $3.
Bang, money storm. Nice stuff there, my guy. He's putting in a stellar day from our guy to the right of us. As the market starts to pull back in here, folks, let's see what happens. If we break 74.90s, I'm at a dodge, which is looking like we're going to happen right this second. So let's see if we can hold up off of these levels. NVDA just being the bearer of bad news on the session. Guys, continuing to crawl lower and lower and lower. Let's zoom out here for a second on NVDA and see what we got going on. We went over this for Darius Golden, and hopefully that put that he bought is starting to work out really nice because we are starting to sell heavy. Let's see if we run into these key support levels at that 129.50. I would look at that as a next target, even though it's close to a point away at this standpoint. Continuing to drag the overall market down here. Yeah, so I'm out of the TQs here, folks. Broke through that level. So we're going to get out of dodge, reassess the situation, and it looks like the primary trend, well, it really is to the downside.
Just got great news, bro.
Yeah.
We are done a major step in the build-out, and now we're officially on the last 10%. So the X-ray machine got put in, and that is the biggest thing we were waiting for. Yes, dude, you have no idea how much stress this has been the last 3-4 days.
So you guys have
bro.
an X-ray machine?
Yeah. Well, it's an X-ray, it's ultrasound, nuclear medicine, the works, brother.
Nice.
So pumped about this. The X-ray machine is in.
Bang, going there.
Going there.
Going fast track. Little fast track. On that one, if I ever need
fast track to the coffin. All those X-rays. Yeah. It's just I just got the confirmation right now from the project manager. Super pumped about that. That's like basically we got 10% left, and then the entire thing. You know, I've been doing this for almost 11 months. Yeah, we're in 2 jobs here. So really pumped about that. Just want to share because I was feeling really good about that. All right, so here's the deal, guys. Now I'm looking at SPI. So we got stopped at a DRIO. It's kind of what I've been seeing with these small cap gappers as of late, where they get the big midday pump, but it is a Christmas tree retracement right back down into the low, and there's no continuity. And as I look at the Russell's flat. So I mean, small caps really are not getting decimated or anything like that. We got 0.04% on the Russ, so I was expecting maybe a little bit more continuity on the small caps, but I gotta tell you, the biggest winner since the bell, like up percentage on the day, since 9:30 is 34% in its SPI. It's the one we're looking at right here. And so that is really not the recipe to trade these small cap gappers and really, try to look through continuity through the midday, you're not getting it. You haven't been getting it for like the past week. I want to say maybe even a little bit, week and a half. So I'm going to have to tread carefully with how we trade these small cap gappers. So I'm going to keep my eye on SPI. I'd like it to go back above that $1.20. That $1.20 is where the volume weighted average price is. It's also a key area of technical resistance. We're below that right now. We seem to be bouncing off that yellow line. That yellow line is a 20 exponential moving average, but that isn't my plan. It's going to have to trade above $1.20 and close $1.20 above $1.20 on the 5-minute chart for me to get involved. So SPI is one we'll keep on the side chart, but won't trade it quite yet. XXI, this is a holdover from yesterday. It was a big mover there right at the midday. This one started getting its footing under it right at 11 o'clock. And look what we did over here from that 550 area all the way up to 1250. But true to form, like we've been seeing with these small cap gappers, we get that big move up, and then you're quickly right back down where you started. In fact, this one traded into 4 o'clock and went right back to where it started in that 550, 570 area. Today, it defends that $5 area. It doesn't trade below it. In fact, I think the closing print's right at $6. And we look to break 10, but that was a long time ago, or so it feels, because right now it's all the way back down at 750. Again, it seems to be kind of respecting the 50 exponential, but that isn't my strategy with these small cap gappers. It will have to trade above VWAP. There's none that are trading above VWAP right now, so I'm going to have to either not trade these small cap gappers at all, or keep my eye on the scanner for something that could be popping up anew here. And quite frankly, I don't see anything. So if you guys see anything, make sure to tag me in the chat. I'd love to know what small cap gappers you guys have on your watch list. And recall that I filter everything sell to 85 pennies. So there may be some running sell to 85 pennies that I don't know about. If there is, and if you see them, I'd really love to hear from you guys. So tag myself or Joe in the chat. Let's have a look at the mag. So there's nothing else moving. Let's have a look at the mag. So everything down and to the dang right. There are no exceptions. Everything basically near or at the low of day. Case in point, Amazon about to break the low of day. Meta just printed the low of day, a quick wick below 590 into 589.20. Soft one as well, 414, just printed that LOD. But now as I'm seeing this, it looks like some of them have made an attempt at the 10 or the 20 exponential. So this might be an opportunity for us to enter the short here. Softy looks like it weaseled up into 1450, 415.50, which is a 20 exponential, and looks like it's headed right back down below 415. So Softy could be an interesting entry there because it was a 20 exponential retracement. We also have Goggles. Goggles got right back into that 190, which happened to be the 10 exponential moving average, and looks like it's topping tail right now, looking to reject that area. So we'll keep an eye out on the mag, see if we can get into something over here, because I'm none too plussed with the look of these small cap gappers on the day. So we'll look to trade the mag. I like the way that soft one is looking right now. So let's go ahead and weasel on over and type in MSFT. What do we got over here? So we're right back into that 415 area. We're whiffling, we're waffling. I'd have to give this right here 50 pennies minimum. I would have to give it to 415.50 to this area crest over here. If I didn't, then if I don't, then basically I'm trading it wrong and I'm doing myself an awful disservice, because you don't want that new high. Right, is what I'm trying to say. So if you get that new high above the key area crest, then you know your trade is wrong. But if you don't put your stop there, then you might get stopped out early, and that's how you're doing yourself a disservice. So I'm thinking I'm going to weasel in here, Joseph. I'll watch this a little bit more over here. What do we got on the NQ? The NQ's down 0.5 point. The ES down 1/3. The Dow 0.15. The Russ is absolutely flat at 0.00. Yeah. Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit here on the soft one. Is this a key area of technical support? Not really. No. I mean, kind of. 415, we danced with it yesterday, but we definitely got a little bit below into that 412, but it was short-lived. What are you looking at there, Joseph?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking at the TQs here, trying to catch these bottoms. I mentioned before that I wasn't necessarily going to, because I just want to bring this up here. These were my top 3 ideas on the session. Every morning as I started, what I write down what I'm looking at, and I break it down into my 3 favorite tickers, and TQQs being the top of the list just because of the macro events going on today. So we like that one there. Make sure you do that every day, guys. Or even if you don't, just find something. You got Sean with his sticky note. Just find something to get you in the groove. And I bet when Sean is doing his sticky note, he's like getting in game mode as well too. It's like getting ready in the dressing room. You're just getting prepared, mentally prepared for what's to come. And that's what I do in the morning with my Notion. But I want to talk a little bit about Tesla here and why it was second on my list. So what I've seen here on Tesla from a daily perspective is that we sat on top of this range. So you can see the open in this underlying right at the top of this resistance level, all right? So this is exactly what I'm looking at. So I'm looking for that sit on top of resistance level and then the continuation in strength. We didn't necessarily get that today, and that's totally fine. Totally, I can't do anything about that. It was a strong 5-minute drive, and then after it sold, fine, missed the run, don't want to cry home about it, just reassess the situation, realize where you went wrong, and then the next day see what you can do a little bit better. But those were my top picks there in the morning was the TQs, Tesla using TSLA vehicle, the leveraged derivative, 2X I believe, and then also IBIT. Didn't work out. Fine, totally fine. We reassess the situation and we come back tomorrow. But we are in some TQQs right now, folks. Continuing to slowly crawl higher. Again, stop out one, back in it, stop out break even, and then boom, we're gonna take it again to see if we can slowly start to recover in this market. What I wanna do as well too, guys, is I was looking at the top performing sectors in today's session. And we have XLU at the top of his class, up about 0.8%, closer to 0.9. And then we have the financial sector up about 0.5%. So here's XLF. I love XLF, one of my favorite vehicles here. And so we are trading below the volume weighted average price, but slowly starting to recover. So looking for any relative strength, find those top performing sectors, break it down. We can go to JPM and see what JPM is up to, probably just following this. And here we are just sitting on top of VWAP right now. We have JPM tomorrow, 8:30 sharp, or 8 a.m. sharp. That is on JPM. So looking forward to that, having fun with these tickers, especially leading into earnings seasons. Obi asked me, what are you looking at for tomorrow? I'm looking at JPM, and I know Sharif will be looking at some stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm just talking to JFlow there in the chat below VWAP. So he was telling me about OPTT, Ocean Power Technologies. So I had a look, JFlow, and the deal with this one is it's below the volume weighted average price. So I can't take this bad boy long. It's going to have to reclaim that VWAP area. It's up 9.5%, $121 million market cap, about 23 million shares trade on there. So even though it's sub $1, you know, it's got a good amount of volume. Looks like a head and shoulders pattern if I've ever seen one over here with the breach of VWAP. So I'm really not inclined to take this long. It's got to be trading above that white line right there at 91 pennies. That is a VWAP on my chart. But we're doing well on the soft one. So we just took some profits there on the short for Microsoft. We took some there at 70s. I'm waiting now at 60s, 61, excuse me. Showing up on the bid, 76 though on the ask. It's going to have to drop below that 60 penny area on the ask for me to get filled. So we'll pack our patience to see if we can extract some more profitability off Microsoft. We're going to set up some more beak wetters there. So now 59's showing up on the bid, and there we go. We get the print. Now we're going to wait for it. Now I've set up at 50, so I'm waiting for that print now at 50. MSF dang T. It was a 415.50. Boom! We take that one, Joseph, into the downside. All right, I haven't traded the Mag in a hot minute, but I do. Huh?
In a hot mini.
In a hot mini. So Softy rejecting that dang 20 exponential moving average 415.50 was also a price action support level previously at that 11.15. 11, it did drop all the way down to 14.50, worked its way back up to 416.50, and then dropped again. So it was an area of possible previous resistance, and this time previous support, excuse me, this time acting as resistance. Waiting for now a print in the third of a dollar. 47s now showing up on the bid. It's going to have to drop obviously a lot more for us to get printed. 47s still getting defended here. There we go. 37s now on the bid. It's going to have to keep dropping, though. As I'm watching this, I'm keeping an eye on the market to see what levels we're at the market, and we're awfully close to 20,800. So the fact of the matter is, these 100-point levels act as areas of support and resistance. So if we dip down to 20,800, I get concerned about my short because it's possibly that we could bounce off that level, just kind of like what we're doing. We dipped right now into the 30s, didn't get the print right now on Softy. So I'm keeping my eye, Joseph, on that 20,800, and we'll see what's up with that. Escape Planet, Archer or Joby? Say less, sir. I know what both those bad boys are. I happen to like both companies. You guys know my affinity for these eVTOLs. Let's start with Joby. Okay, so Joby getting shellacked, brother. I mean, there's nothing for me to do here. I don't usually short these small cap gappers. I take them long. Let's see ACHR, Archer Aviation. Kind of the same look, brother. They're both getting creamed on the day. Archer just bounced, I think, off $8. So this is clearly negatory on the day. I'm gonna have to respectfully decline to short these small cap gappers. That's kind of not my modus operandi. We take it a third of $1 on the soft one, Joseph. Now we're going to set up at the whole dang dollar. So let's set up for 414.05. We'll see if we can wet our beak on that. That would be a new LOD for MSF dang T, because right now it's 414.16. The Katina man hitting the bear emoticon because everything is headed to the downside in the Mag 7, in the futures. It is blood on the streets. Well, not as bad as yesterday. I mean, we're only down 0.2% on the NQ, but you get the point. So moving into 414 right now, we are at the low of day on Microsoft. It's 414.16. I submit to you that most of the Mag 7s are at or printing the low of day. Case in point, 216.66 for Amazon, 590 now. For Meta, and it's 589.21, the low of the day, and boom, there it is. So the trade is done there. We take 80 pennies. Appreciate you. We'll take that 414. All right, soft. The Katina man's getting amped over there, baby. Katima is gonna, okay, so he got short there. We all saw that initial short that he was at when we took in the pre-market, when we got that PPI number, he added into the shorts. That's the short on Apple. It's kind of the same thing, Katina man, because the Apple and the future could both get murked today. There it is. He's got bottom wick. Shout out to the dang Katina man. He took those prints. We're shouting him out, and we're sending it to Joseph.
Dang, yeah, the diamond hand dancer right there is the Katina man. Good stuff there, my guy. But we got a lot of super chats here, Strip, that we got to touch on. $2 super chat from Zion, Lala, Neil, the real deal. Great midday lesson and reminder. Thank you, Zion, for that $2 super chat. Then Kyle Burdett. Shake weights for the ladies only. $5 super chat. There we go. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say that one anyways. Stevenson, thank you for the $2 super chat. Spy with an inverted head and shoulders on the 15-minute. He asked me to take a look at that. We'll pull that up with you. I said, I don't really see it, but maybe on the 1 minute. But I really like this bottoming signal here on the 1 minute on SPY. I like pointing that out. So I'm going to take advantage of that here, but let's go to your 15-minute time frame and see. I'm going to ask Sharif because I don't necessarily see it. Do you see a head and shoulders anywhere along these lines? Yeah, I don't. And I was just trying to be frank with them. Maybe on the 1 minute we can maybe try to take a look at something, shoulder one, head, shoulder two. But again, you don't want to force it. You want to be able to see it a lot clearer. But yeah, just being frank with you, but thank you for the super chat as always. But you're not wrong. We are starting to turn around here, which is really key and important. So way to point that out, Stevenson. Good look there, my friend. And then another $5 super chat from Kyle Burdett, the big one, 0.0 hilarious. Get down. There you go. So thank you, Kyle, for the $5 super chat. Pardon me?
What does 0.0 mean? Is that where he wants the ES to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think
he'd be very happy with
zero.
that.
Imagine. Just still riding the bear, man. Just keep riding the bear. There you are. Those puts working out for you on iBit, on everything there, Kyle. Hopefully you're in some index options as well, too. We were talking a lot about options earlier in the session. But here we are, bouncing off the lows here. Really like that 1 minute print on on the SPY here, let me bring up the Qs because I want to see what that print looks like on the 1 minute time frame on the Qs because we're going to use the TQ vehicle. A nice little hammer there, not as clean as the SPY. I think XLF is helping the SPY be a slightly stronger here. So let's pull back the XLF here and see what we got going on. Still hovering below the volume weighted average price, but I'm going to look to get involved here on the TQs. We like this one. A potential bottoming signal. That volume started to pick up. We got that hammer. A bunch of key signals now. Let's see if we can take advantage of this one, Sharif.
I like it, Joseph. Shout out, first of all, to Melihi Mumu, and then somebody else. I did answer them back there in the chat. They both told me at separate times about GLXG. Okay, finally, we get a small cap gapper that's not, doing a Christmas tree retracement. Up right away and then down right away. Okay, so this one is definitely defending the volume weighted average price. So how we work into this is going to be key here. Okay, so VWAP at $1, low 40s. But what I see here is all sorts of initial rejections at $1.50. Now we're down into that $1.50. Do we defend the $1.50? So it's a $1.59 HOD right now. Let's see if we can weasel in here at the $1.50 and defend this level. I'd like to be able to scalp as this one, if this one ascends. So we're going to throw out some beak wetters here to possibly take advantage of a spike up in price. So what I'm seeing is here, candle reject, finally break, and there it is. Okay, so now we take it out, $1.55. Let's see if we can take out 56. Let's hang out as well in the high 50s. So as I mentioned, the HOD is 59, so I'd like to front run 59 and possibly get filled at 58, because once you get into that HOD, there's usually some selling, whether it's profit taking or people reinstituting shorts. A couple of prints on this one so far, but it's very volatile. It's moving up to 157, then right back down into 150, which is kind of crazy for a dollar name. That's a big percentage move right there. So let's see if this one wants to continue to the high side. I've set up at 58 and 61. There goes 58, 59, 60. Oh. Here we go. Big size at 60, Joseph. Let's see, but it's re-upping the size. That's the word I'm looking for. Look at how we got into that 60, and then the size was getting taken out, and then new size started coming in. That tells you that there's a lot of aggressive shorting into that HOD. Let's see if we can get that print. What did you want to hit?
I was ready. I was getting ready to bang there.
Yeah, we'll wait. That's all good. All right, so we taken out a few exits over here on your...
Even Roger said it, and bang. He was ready for it, too. Everybody was ready, yeah.
All right, shout out to Big Spile. I see that $5 super chat. Well, he also tagged me. That scam number... That's scam number this morning. Oh, I see. You're talking about PPI. I get you. Yeah, look, Big Spile, you know how it is, man. PPI is kind of like the ugly third cousin of CPI, right? So let's see exactly what CPI brings. Down we go on GLXG. We're only holding one more out on this bad boy. I'd like to defend VWAP at this level, but let me tell you, anything below 140, which is below VWAP, we're going to be gonzino on this one. Joseph, what are you looking at?
Hey, good stuff there, guys. We're in on some TQs with those signals that we mentioned before. So we're going to just load up, push a little extra size here, see if this one starts to work out. As it is, beautiful signal. We went over this in VPA, the VPA lesson, all right? We're at an extreme low. Are we going to get a bounce? Let's see how deep this bounce can go, all right, guys? So thank you for that. I also wanted to mention we have the Playmaker poll up as well, too, folks. Only 637 likes, votes. We need to get that up. Guys, get that to 1,000. You know we like that 1,000 benchmark. And let's get the likes up as well, too, folks. Please and thank you. Get those votes in. And we can see which way we're going to go. I probably know which way. I'm rooting. See, I'm one of those guys, like, it's all fun being the king and everything via sports. You like watching the Kings go on their runs. But then there's nothing more exciting than watching a king get dethroned, all right? So that is what we want to see here. Will the shorts eventually win? And that's what may happen this weekend in the UFC, Sharif. A massive fight that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, we'll see what we got going on with that, guys. But get those votes in. Let's get that to 1,000. And we got some more super chats as well here too. So bang, let's get those. Vasil. Hey, Vasil. I noticed that if I trade daily, I can make more money than just holding long positions, and it takes time to recover. Okay, yeah, we like that. You got to find what works for you, my guy, and then just exploit it. okay? So if you found a system that really works for you and you find that you can be more profitable within that system, start exploiting it. Take as much advantage of it as you possibly can. So we love to see that. I'm glad that you are trading extremely well. That's what we want to see. And then why? I don't know. Okay, so another $5 super chat. This person every day asks this. Rivoli, what is Sharif's ethnicity?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Walking like an Egyptian. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Very Egyptian. Yes.
Very Egyptian. Yeah.
One of the, I think my marquee things is the eyebrows. That's one. Two, I give everybody a nickname. That's very Egyptian. Now, like, you cannot be called by your regular name in Egypt. It's blasphemous.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to be called a pet name, right? Yeah. So that's kind of the nickname, whatever. All right, guys, we got in a little bit here at 144. A couple of outs already on that dip trade on GLXG. The reason I had that 144 dip trade was that was VWAP. So I said to myself, look to defend VWAP, and took a smaller position. Anything below that $1.40, I'm gone. We've already had a couple of outs on the refill already. So let's see if this one wants to continue to the high side. I'm going to set up at the $0.50 again to wet my beak on some profitability here. GLXG trying to hold VWAP, but you know, I really don't have a whole lot of faith in these small cap gappers continuing. That's why I'm trading it a little bit cautiously right now. So let's see if this one wants to run up. As I see it, that $1.50 now is acting as a key level of resistance, which is not surprising. On a dollar name, the 50 penny area probably will be resistance. What is surprising to me, though, is its proximity to VWAP. So we've got basically a 5 penny range. VWAP and then the 50 penny level. VWAP's $1.45. The 50 penny level, obviously at 50 pennies. So a bit of a tight range establishing right now on GLXG. Let's keep an eye out on this one. What is this? What is the difference from little to very? I don't know, bro. Leave me alone. Let me just trade. What else we got over here? Keep your eyes, guys, on the small cap gappers. If there's any new ones, I'd love to know about them because I wasn't here, obviously, in the earlier trading day. So I may not be as in tune to what we're doing here in small cap gapper world. So make sure to tag me, though, because it's really hard to see all the entries in the chat. I'm seeing some people talk about Rigetti. Palms are sweaty. Yeah, this one's just a little bit above VWAP right now. Get it, Adara. So we're going to keep an eye out on this one. If Rigetti wants to hold and stay above VWAP, it might be a different story. Joseph, what do you got?
Hey, good stuff there. We got a good question from Sarah Bredet. Okay, she said, do you guys use the bands when using VWAP? It's clogging my screen so much.
Bands make
Excuse me. No, we don't use the bands. I don't use the VWAP bands. Sorry, I eliminate those. So feel free to as well if you feel like it's congestion on your screen. You don't want to see that at all, right? You want to be able to read price action on that front. Okay, can we see SPY back in green? Today, maybe it's going to be a tough look. I mean, let's take a look at how much we're down here from a percentage metric. SPY tab AM. And yeah, let's see what we got down. Only down about, 0.2% here. So totally recoverable on the session. If volume starts to pick in, you see that volatility kick in and that volume as well too, folks. We can definitely recover on the session and then continue to the northeast. So I wouldn't rule it out. Is it going to happen? Only time will tell, as I most obviously say all the time. So yeah, there it is, Joe, bro. Somebody kick the video because it won't let go. Yeah, I know. Man, I know. It needs to jumpstart or something because this thing has been just dragging the overall market down. I thought we were going to continue to the northeast, especially out of the opening drives, but NVDA had other plans and decided that it wanted to sell off, dragging a lot of the market down with it. So here it is. Let's see what happens. We are forming a nice consolidation phase on NVDA here. Let's see which way it decides it wants to break. If we sit on top of this resistance range and then volume steps in, sure enough, you can get that move back to the volume weighted average price and then continue to the northeast. But again, time will tell. You have to be patient. Let that volume step in. Don't anticipate. Look to participate with those consolidation break phases, all right? Let that volume step in. Let it tell you, like, okay, yeah, we're ready to start moving, and then you can look to participate on that front as well, too. So good luck there, guys. Let's get back to the TQs and see what we got going on here. Slowly taking some off. Mentioned before, hey, this is a beautiful signal. This is what I want to see. Slightly isolated. Play the break of it. Slightly late. RVR would have been a lot better, but here we are. continuing to recover here on the market, running into some resistance zones right now on the TQs. Let's see if we can sit on top of those, and then we can trade higher, my guy. Also, you're talking about nicknames. Do you know what my nickname is in Jamaica, in our hometown?
No, I'd like to know though. What?
Russian.
Russian?
Yeah, they call
Okay,
me
explain.
Russian. Yeah,
we need an
because
explanation.
I'm foreign, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they call foreign. Yeah, Russians, right?
I
So,
like
yeah,
that.
I'm
Okay,
Russian.
okay.
And my dad's nickname is Cow. Co, they call him.
Why?
Cause, I don't know. He's cool. He's big. He's like, he's not like obese or anything, but he's just like solid.
big
He's
guy.
solid.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
solid. Yeah.
Hey, you call him
Cool.
Ox.
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah.
Joseph, do you see what we did with 20,800? We dipped aggressively into that 20,800 on the NQ March contract, and we dipped. Actually, we broke 800. To be quite honest, we got to 791, and then we popped up. We popped up into the 20 exponential moving average on the 5-minute chart on the NQ March contract, which is 20,875. A 2-candle hold up at said level. It's not the 20 exponential that I'm really interested here. It's this area right at 11 o'clock, the low that we printed there. We came into that level and then we popped up and actually went green on the day momentarily on the NQ. That was as green as we were going to get, at least into the late morning, early afternoon. And then we move right back into the lower end of that range. That low end is 20,875. We bounced off it right there, and now we seem to be rejecting off it. It's not a one-off event, though. Look at what we did over here at 12:10 and 12:15. We rejected off that exact same area. So we could have a possible double bottom in our midst off that 20,800. And if this area right here that we've been rejecting off since 1140 gets cleared, we could move up. We could move up into about 20,950. That is the closing print from yesterday. So if we clear this obvious area of resistance, well, what's the next area of resistance that we rejected off previously? It's that closing print. 20,950. But no, let's not count our chickens before they hatch, because we haven't cleared 20,875 quite yet. I'm just saying this is a possibility right now, with this area being an obvious area of previous support, now acting as resistance. So keeping my eye on the future, and by extension of that, of course, keeping my eye on the MAG. NVIDIA looks like a hockey stick at this level. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on with NVIDIA. At 136.58 HOD, we move all the way down, and then we're locked in the tightest of ranges over here. It looks like it's defending that 130 area. It's a skosh above 130. In fact, the low of the day is 130.32, and we're knocking the door of 131, but we're still in the 130. So NVIDIA looks awfully range-bound and a very tight range. You can't say that for the others. The others look, like the range that they've established a lot shorter, and they look a bit more, I don't know, like the likes of Meta, the likes of Amazon, they look more inclined to start curling back up. But you never really know until it all manifests. So right now, Meta been very respectful of the 20 exponential moving average, which on my chart will always be the solid yellow line. We reject off it initially over here in the 11, say from 11:15 until about 11:40, and then we're kind of straddling it right now. So Meta looks like it wants to take the 20 exponential. And you could kind of make the same argument for Amazon. Amazon wasn't straddling the 20 exponential earlier, but it is now. And it's a nice move off that 216.50. And now we're knocking the door of 218 here on AMZN. Still down about, in between a third to a quarter percentage on the day. The dead one Apple looking as well like it wants to hold above 233. We'll have to see how that all works out there. Yeah, so no clearance right now on the future of 20,875. So these the MAG 7 likely going to stay near that low. All right, going back to these small cap gappers, see if there's anything afoot. Nothing really going on over here for the small cap gappers. Oh, I'm seeing a new one that just found its way onto the scene. MTNB up 56%. Let's load this bad boy up over here. MTNB is what I'm talking about. MTNB. I can type, I promise. There we go. Okay, so this one, what's going on over here? So this bad boy shows up for the first time on the day at 12 o'clock, pops up, knocks on the door of a buck, drops all the way back to 70 pennies and below VWAP, and now we're knocking on the door of $1 again with that 95 penny top wick. Technically, we got into 99 pennies before. That's a nice U-shaped retracement and a good reclaiming of the volume weighted average price, but obviously still below the high of the day. So let's throw on the ticker over here because this one could be interesting. I'm talking, guys, again, MTNB. It is a sub $1 name. And yeah, definitely looking at making moves over here. So MTNB definitely in focus. Now, your boy, RR, Rich Tech Robotics, I'll always associate this with you because you called it out that day. I traded it. It's getting back into the VWAP area, the volume weighted average price, and it had a failed attempt also of VWAP once it dropped below it. And that failed attempt came at 11.55. We find ourselves there right now again, but we're kind of putting this rounded bottom. Shout out to the Spiled one, who likes rounded bottoms very much. But I think that's pretty much, we can all get behind that.
We're
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
So there we go. We'll see if this one can clear that 290 area. Joseph, RR. Rich Tech Robotics.
Hey, good luck there, my guy. Yeah, I like this Rich Tech Robotics play here. But here we go, guys. Off that signal here, we talk about it in the lessons. Little VPA there for you guys, that increase of volume on the lower time frames with that indecision candle. One thing I did is I went and I looked on multiple charts to confirm that print, and sure enough, we're getting that bounce here, breaking through some key resistance levels. Let's see if we can still recover on the session. Mentioned this before, we're not down too much, so you can recover from a day like this. Are we going to? I mean, we're trading below the volume weighted average price for the majority of the session. So in order for us to break through that, we're going to need to see a program step in and us break through with some volume. But anything can happen at any time. So just be prepared, guys, especially with these mags. Like NVDA is just consolidating, prices starting to compress. So what happens when it breaks? We want to see that volume step in. Let's pull up NVDA for you guys real quick as we continue to monitor what we got going on in the overall market. So here, as you can see, slightly forming these higher lows here, folks, but prices starting to compress here on NVDA. And when price is compressing like this, in order for it to break, you're going to see that volume step in, all right? So that is huge. Once it steps in, that's how we can look to participate in this. Okay, so Money Talks. I like this show even more now. Yes, sir, Spanish Town, born and raised. Let's go. Hey. Yeah. My family is from Lioneltown. And we go to like Maypen once in a blue moon. I used to drive the car to Maypen to go to the KFC in Maypen, if you're familiar with that, Spanish Town. But yeah, Money Talks, there you go. Thanks for joining us. I know there's a couple people from Jamaica, a lot of traders from Jamaica that tune into the show because we were talking about it from before. But yeah, Lioneltown is where we're from. Kempsville High School is where my cousins go, and I go hang out with them at Kempsville High School, and then we go to the KFC in Maypen. So good stuff. Yeah.
Look what Neil wrote to you.
Can you cross it? What? I don't get it. Nobody can cross it? No, I don't get it.
He said, Neil's saying nobody can cross it. I know you guys can't hear him off camera.
But yeah, I don't get it. No, I don't get it. Am I slow or what? let me know.
You set yourself up there.
All right. All right. But anyways, back to anything. So yeah, back to what we were talking about. A little slow to that punchline on that one on Neil, so we'll have to get back to that. But guys, I mentioned the price compression on this here. Let's see what happens on NVDA to see. Oh, can you eat Scotch bonnet? No, I don't usually eat that. You get a little spice in the curry chicken, but other than that, I'm not. I let everybody else cook for me. But the volume is starting to.
You let everybody else cook for you. That must be nice, Joseph.
Yeah. Well, that's what we do down there, man.
I know. But I thought the way you put it, it's like I let everybody cook. You know, I cook.
But I do cook. But I let them cook. Yeah. See, there you go. Yeah, I let them. Yeah. But a little supervision going on. You can see what's going on, oversee everything, make sure we get the right spices in there.
That's how you roll, eh?
That's how I roll.
Make sure,
you know what I mean?
Properly.
Yeah, we need proper execution, you know what I mean, my guy?
I love it.
That's it, what you got going on.
We're going to send to Adair in a second, but I'm keeping my eye, guys, still on MTNB, excuse me, because it is continuing to hold up above the volume weighted average price. It's putting in higher lows on the 5-minute chart, not necessarily higher highs, but I am kind of hopeful for this one. Let's see what Adair has for us at the big desk.
We have a crypto segment. As you guys know, usually during the afternoon, I like to spice this up a little bit by not talking purely about Ethereum and or Bitcoin. So let's take a look at XRP. Basically, my idea for this, I just kind of wanted to look at some of these month-to-date or week-to-date, whatever changes in some of these crypto takers to see what was particularly strong. And I mean, look at XRP. up 8% in the last 24 hours, up 15% in the last 7 days, up 30% in the last month, or a month to date anyway, and then in the last 30 days, we're still up about 10%. So XRP clearly outperforming its peers. So I want to take a look here at this chart. And I mean, if you look at it here, this anchored VWAP, by the way, is our AVWAP from the election on November 5th, which we know was a really great look for a lot of these, the market in general, but especially a lot of crypto tickers. XRP also had the benefit of the resignation of Gary Gensler, who we know was not necessarily pro-Ripple. So Paul Atkins, new SEC chair, could be a great look here for XRP, which, as you can tell, rounded bottom, bull flag. Yesterday here, this is the daily chart, we have this beautiful slice through the AVWAP and then pushing back above it. So I think it's a really great look here on the XRP chart. I wanted to give it a little bit of love because it's not one we talk about a lot, and it's one that looks great, and that percentage move so far backs it up, guys. Back to you.
Bye, Gary. It's been,
Bye, Gary.
It hasn't been nice.
Later.
No. It hasn't been nice knowing you at all. And, you know, if we don't encounter you again, I'd be good with it. So shout out to the anti-crypto extraordinaire, Gary Gensler. I hope you have a good whatever the hell you do.
Yeah, a lot of Jamaicans in the chat, man. What happened?
She's laughing, makes me laugh. All right, guys, I'm trying to load MTNB. MT, am I writing it? MTNB, yes. I don't think this is on the NASDAQ. Let's check the Amex. Okay, so this is an Amex stock. And I'm just keeping my eye on this one because, again, we got into about 97 pennies, 97 and a half, and the selling comes in fast and furious again on it. So it's holding VWAP, 86 pennies, give or take, is the volume-weighted average price. But I don't like the lower low, excuse me. And the fact of the matter is, it's a bearish engulfing right now on the 5-minute chart, where the current 5-minute candle ensconces the previous green candle from the top and the bottom. So that's a bearish engulfing candle, and usually not a good recipe to enter along. So I'm keeping my eye on this one. If it wants to, you know, buck the trend right now with small caps, which have all been selling off, well, then we'll get involved. But it's going to have to prove itself. I'm not going to try to dip trade this one and then catch another L. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Back to the mag we go. Let's see what's afoot. No, the selling is still in play. I mean, we haven't cleared that key area of technical resistance that we talked about on the NQ March contract, but we're not really dipping below with any aggression. We're kind of hanging out a little bit below. The level I'm talking about is 20,875. And that's a level we bounced off initially, and then we've rejected multiple times off that level. Not once or twice, but more like 5 or 6 times on the 5-minute chart. So it's a level of importance to me. But the thing is, we're not making any newer lows either. So we're kind of just hanging out near the lows on the future. So pack our patience, see if we can extract anything. I don't have any takers right now that I'm liking. I'm looking at Rich Tech Robotics. I was going to look over to the Katinaman and Neil and see how much these shorts are going to cost me. But I'm thinking, you know, like, it's awfully close to VWAP. Why don't I just hang out here, see if it clears that $3 level and gets going. It's got a great looking rounded bottom. It's just the problem is I base my small cap gapper strategy on VWAP. And this one has been south of VWAP for the majority of the morning, so I'm less inclined to want to trade it. So moving up into 290 right now, about 10 pennies away from that 3. And just because VWAP's at 286 doesn't mean that's the end of the resistance. I mean, look what we did over here with 3. We couldn't take 3 after clearing it initially, and we dropped back down into that VWAP level. Then all hell broke loose. We couldn't break above 3. And look at all these candles over here. Each and every one of these 5-minute candles is below VWAP. So clearly somebody using VWAP here to short or take profits. And I don't want to stand in front of that, obviously. So Rich Tech Robotics up 35.5%, give or take. Above VWAP right now, but not really a glowing endorsement. So well, let's see what else we got over here. Look, Jimmy Donnelly. I think he's talking about options over here. This might be down your alley. Lucid. Look at call option activity at the $3 strike price, Joseph.
You can do that.
Yeah, he's going to do that for you right now. So we're going to give him an opportunity to do that. Rohit Sharma talking about QBTS. I'm going to have a look at that for you as well, Rohit, once Joseph has a look at Lucid.
Yeah, $3. So we got a lot of open interest here, around 41K open contracts as of right now. But again, that's with 3 days till expiry. I see a lot more open, well, not a lot, 45,000 around that $2.50 strike price. So yeah, I mean, I don't follow Lucid enough to say this is unusual, but the at the money IV is extremely high on this thing, sitting at 104% on that front. So yeah, I mean, let's take a look at Lucid. I kind of want to see the price action. I don't pay too much mind to this thing. LCID, oh yeah, and starting to recover here. So yeah, let's see what happens. Volume really starting to pick up. So with that, you'll see projected in some unusual options contracts. So nice stuff there. Really like that look. So yeah, good luck there with that options activity. You want to follow the volume, but there is some more to the put side though. There isn't there's an usual about 67,000 contracts at that $2.50 strike price to the put side, Sharif. So that ratio looking a little bit more dominant to the negative side there, my friend. So yeah, good stuff there. Let's see, we got Joanne from Portland Cottage, which is about 10 minutes drive to Linotown. Here is too hot for me, though. I'd rather cool Mandeville. All right, yeah. You can go cool off in Salt River, because if you're from those ends and you know Linotown, then that's where I go, and we cool off in Salt River and swing from the rope. So, K-Shaw, nice look there. I'm glad that you're close to that area. Cool stuff. As I mentioned, my cousins go to Kempso High, and we go to drive. I drive around there and go to like this nice. So there's a big mountain, and the water flows. The mineral water flows into like a pool, and we call it Salt River, and it's nice, refreshing water. Yeah, it's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice. Yeah, good stuff there. Yeah, it's good stuff there. But what do you got going on there, my guy? So you got a video for the people.
Well, we're talking about Lucid,
Really?
Joseph.
All
You think
right.
I can't talk about the SUV?
Yeah,
So
there we
this
go.
is what I perceive to be one of the possibilities that could help move the needle for Lucid. I'm not a big fan of sedans, and data supports my contention that most people are not as much of a fan of sedans as they are SUVs. And this is Lucid's first foray at the SUV world. And it's a 7-row SUV. So it's not, definitely not my cup of tea, but I do, because I don't want a 7-row SUV. I'm a single guy, right? So what the hell am I going to do that? But there's a lot of good stuff to like about this, and it's not the final product. So this is the first one, the first SUV is what I'm trying to say. But we've seen this story before with Tesla and with some others. They drop their most expensive product, usually their biggest product, which has the most amount of margins, shores up the balance sheet a little bit so they can get some cash on hand, and then they move into something a bit smaller, more, down my alley. So this is, if it's going to look anything like this, I'm definitely a fan. The interior is really what gets me. And Lucid, if you know the brand, they spare no expense. They execute cars like Rivian, where like the production process is super rigid, very tightly monitored, and they want to execute the cars to the best of their ability. Yeah, bro, it's a serious look. Look at this, and see this screen up here, Joseph? Yeah. I can send different things from this screen down into this one, just by swiping. Yeah.
So you can do that? Yeah, that's what we need, man.
Bro, and it's at a huge screen, and from what I'm hearing, there's likely gonna be a passenger screen on the future iterations of this product.
I like the LED lights in the back.
100%, dude, there's so much to like about this. We don't have enough time on the show, and what I do like as well, with a lot of these EV companies putting all screens, I do like hard buttons for certain things, air conditioning, some other stuff, and you have those right on the bottom there. Then you have the weird looking steering wheel that seems to be very popular right now, yokes and these rectangular weird ass steering wheels. But point is, How
do you like those things?
I personally don't, but they do that so that you don't block the screen, so that it doesn't eat up much of the screen. That's what I've been hearing. I mean, I don't
be able to.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta adjust your driving skills.
Yeah, you gotta be able to.
Yeah, so this is the Lucid Gravity, guys, and so they're actually delivering these now. They did a little video on their YouTube page where they're inviting purchasers of the first batch of the Gravities to kind of pick up their cars at the manufacturing plant, and they do like a whole PR thing there. So the Gravity being delivered finally, and it's still obviously not available in Canada. My understanding is California customers first, and then they're going to go, I think New York second, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Canada will be
after all 50 states. I wasn't going to say it, Joseph. I wasn't going to say it.
It's going to be the.
No.
It's not.
So the gravity definitely could move the needle over here. And we've been talking about this for a while. I don't know. What do you guys like? Do you guys like the gravity? What's your favorite EV SUV? Are you guys a Model X? You guys like the Model X or the Model Y possibly? The Gravity, what other EV SUVs are there? The Rivian, the main one. The R1S, obviously, Rivian, that's got to be one of my favorites as well. No Cybertruck here though, just SUVs, guys. Which one do you guys like the best? Shazan says 7 rows, just 3. No, not 7 rows, sorry, 7-seater, excuse me, 7-seater, but 3 rows. Yes, you're right, I misspoke there. Rivian says, Shazan Aksari, should we call them SUEVs? Adira?
No.
We're dropping the cash for here.
Dang.
There you go. The Hummer is a nice one. Yes, Shazan, you're absolutely right about that. I like it, but it weighs like 10 million pounds, and it's absolutely huge. The Piper, couldn't care less. Excellent participation
the
there.
electric Mustang too. Isn't that
The Mach-E?
SUV? Yeah,
the Mach-E's, yeah. It's like it was supposed to be the Model Y killer. How'd that work out?
Yeah, how do you feel about it? I don't know how I feel about the SUV Mustang.
I don't even know why they called it the Mustang. Yeah. Just call it like a 40 something or another. I don't know. You're
Stallion or something.
Bora Hut, he likes the model, or they like the Model X. Easy Media, the Rivian, Escape Planet, the Volkswagen ID Buzz. I gotta give you some credit on that. North Tube likes the Volvo C30. Eddie R, I like the Rivian. Tesla's look is boring. It's very minimalist. You're not wrong about that, but I think they do that on purpose. Mason Moore is a fan of Tesla. And Butta Biscuit Head is electric Mustang count. Yeah, we just talked about it. Crassy Model Y or the R1, the R1S, I'm assuming. Obviously, you're talking about what's going on, Katina, man. Elon, Zuck, and Bezos all gonna be at the inauguration. Can you say you're surprised about that? Where's Alex Carp, says the Katina man?
AK gonna be there.
Yeah, he's at the Pentagon, bro.
He's gonna be there.
Money over there.
He'll be there.
Alex Carp?
Alex Carp will be there.
Yeah, he should bring him and his hair over there.
Yeah, he should bring his hair. Yeah, well, you don't want to leave that behind. Shreve. All right, Shreve. We got to send in the next tickers for the rundown. But first, you know what time it is, my guy. Time for the Playmaker poll. All right, so guys, let's get into this one. We are absolutely smashing it here, guys. Let's get in our metrics, and then we'll take a gander at the equity curve here shortly, because we're putting in a banger of a session, I feel like, here today.
Let me load up.
Yeah, load up there, my guy, and then we'll get ready.
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Are we ready here? All right, brother, what's the entry price?
Okay, the entry price, $580.71.
871, bang.
So we're taking profits
at
$582.71.
Sorry, you said 581, I put 587.
So at 580.71, yeah.
580, yeah, okay, so then 582. 71, perfect.
Yeah. And then we're going to stop out 579.
579.
71. There you go.
Good stuff there. Yeah, don't complicate it there, Joseph.
It's all good. All right, we got to go to Dara. What's up, Dara?
Probably more context there. So this actually came out about 40 minutes ago, NBC reporting this. It's not been confirmed, but Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos reportedly set to attend the inauguration of Donald Trump, which will be on our market holiday next Monday. So Monday, January 20th, apparently we will be expecting Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos in attendance. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the stream.
Thank you very much, Adara. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on just as long as they separate Zuck and Elon. You know what I mean?
You don't want them going at it, eh? I don't think they'll go at it.
No, they're not going to do nothing.
I got Zuck anyway. I got Zuck.
So Zuck is clearly the one who's actually training and putting in the work and stuff like that. But Elon is like 5 or 6 inches bigger than Zuck, and I think he outweighs him by like 80 pounds.
Yeah, that means nothing. That means nothing. He'll
Sit
gas
on it,
out.
bro.
Yeah, but he'll gas out.
Yeah.
Right? He'll gas out.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't have the athletic ability that Zuck has acquired. And Zuck's actually training with some real fighters,
Yeah,
man.
I know, man.
So yeah, I'll put my money on Meta.
You got Meta on that one? Okay.
Yeah, I got Meta.
It was interesting because I've been listening to the Joe Rogan pod with Zuck on it, so I got to take it in pieces because I listen to it on the drive down, right? So it was actually refreshing to hear Zuck compliment Elon on something, specifically community notes.
Did he?
And he doesn't just do it passively. No, he's like, they got it right. We got it wrong. Their system is better. We're taking their system.
With what?
Community notes on X rather than fact checkers and moderators and stuff like that that can be obviously inherent.
So what's the difference between community notes and...
so you put in something controversial,
Yeah.
right? I can chime in under your post and it'll say community notes and then people can have a discussion, be like, no, you are misrepresenting this part of it. But people can see the original post. It doesn't get removed, but there's commentary on it. Prior to that, obviously Meta was filtering and removing things, right?
Yeah, trying to get rid of the Leonardo DiCaprio.
Do you remember?
Meme.
It's funny. Yeah, so that's the situation there. Let me know what else you guys are looking at. Everybody's yelling about QBTS. All right, so let's have a look at QBTS over here. What's the situation on QBTS? I didn't have a look at this. Okay, so it's taking out VWAP here. It's up 15%. D-Wave Quantum, $1.18 billion market cap. Now, the reason VWAP is important over here is because it clearly rejected it at 1145, 1150, dropped back down to that predictable area of support at that $4 area. Now we're clearing VWAP. In fact, the last about 20 minutes or so on the 5-minute chart, we've been using VWAP as support. I'm talking about that 430 area. Now we're moving into 443. We're about to take out that $0.50 possibly soon. HOD on QBTS, we printed that at 950 this morning. It was a quick wick into 469er, and then down we went. I think we were continuing to be positive on the day on QBTS. Let's just load up the ticker over here so everybody can follow along. Yeah, so this one is moving nicely. Good call out, guys. No question about that. It's a good call out by you guys. Now we're going to have to load it up on a trading screen and get ready and formulate a plan on this one about how we want to weasel in. So QBTS, Joseph, in focus.
Hey, good look there. Darius, it's funny, NVDA is going to do this into the close. I was just pulling up to see if we broke that consolidation phase because, I mean, if it decides that it wants to break out of this consolidation and then go to the top side, I think it's going to drag the overall market up with it. So just got to be prepared for that. But if it breaks to the downside, Darius, you're going to be looking, sitting on some pretty pennies as well, too. So rooting for you on that front, my guy. Hopefully you get those prints that you need and close those contracts up for some nice gains, brother. So much appreciated, as always, when you chime in. Goes a lot farther than you think. So, yeah, guys, here we are sitting in some TQs. Still letting this ride off of that same signal. So let's see how much of a bounce we get off of the overall market. Now starting to reject around some resistance levels as we kind of are around that 115, 130-ish time of day. So you can see that momentum really start to slow down and that volume just kind of steady flow in, all right? So nothing crazy. But if NVDA decides that it wants to take that second leg lower, it is going to, I believe it is going to drag the market along with it. But let's take a look at Google because we haven't talked about it too much today. And I thought that this was going to be somewhat of a long on the session, but it has been the total opposite in this case. Nice consolidation phase as you see price start to compress there, forming that descending wedge or whatever you would like to call it, and then that volume steps in. Look at that volume step in, Shreve, right on that break of those key support levels there.
Great
yeah, exactly. So that's a really good look there, and that's what you want to see. So you can take this example here on Google and then transfer it to kind of what NVDA is doing. And then if you want to see a genuine move, you want to see these volume signatures start to print like this here. All right, so that can give you more conviction within that setup that like, okay, yeah, I'm in the right direction and I'm on the right side of that trade because you are following the mass volume. So that is a really good look, picture perfect example right there on Google. Let's see what happens as we run into these key resistance levels as well too here. Putting in some higher lows as well, guys. So a good look on Google. Let's zoom out and see what we got going on from a daily perspective as well. And we're running into some support systems here on the daily with Google. Just the other day, we were just about to touch the all-time highs on this thing, and I wasn't even really aware of this. I'm like, oh, okay, the overall market has been kind of in a 4 or 5% drawdown. And then Sean mentioned Google is like, yeah, we were just knocking on the door of the all-time highs, and I look at it and I'm like, whoa, okay, it's kind of moving inverse of the overall market, but sure enough, slowly starting to pull back in here, my guy. I will send it off to you in 1 second. Let's see how far off those all-time highs we are. So only about 6%. Totally healthy stuff there as the market is starting to recover, looking good for the playmaker.
Sounds good, man. We weaseled back into softy here as a long this time because I think, well, we'll see. I mean, I hate to go long on a day where everything is red, but the fact of the matter is we defended 20,800 and now we're above 20,900. Not by much, certainly not by much. We're about 902, 903. I'm waiting at 88s over here on softy for the second print. 88s on the ask, sadly 77 on the bib, so we won't get printed unless it crosses, so I'll pack my patience there. There it is. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see if we can cross 416. I'm waiting on the north side now of the whole dollar on 416. I just absolutely love something. It's about 416.80. That's where VWAP is. I'd like to save the majority of the prints into that 416.80 level. You'll see it right on my screen right here at 417, but that's because the software that I'm using, P-Pro 8, starts generating VWAP later in the day. My actual software generates it a little bit earlier, and bang, we take out 16s there. So 3 prints now to the high side on the soft one. So let's set up now at the whole, at the third of a dollar. We're going to sit at 416.33s. So number one, it's going to have to take out the 50 exponential moving average on the 5 because that's exactly where it's at right now. Not a level that I typically use, but ex post facto analysis looks like we did reject multiple times, at least initially in the day at 10 or the earlier part of 10, and then later part again we rejected the 50 exponential. 416 is kind of overlapping. The price 416 is kind of overlapping with the 50 exponential. But what I'm looking for is a retracement into the volume weighted average price, which currently is 416, a little bit above 75, maybe 80s, something like that. But we're going to have to clear the whole dollar before we even look at that yet. But that's where I would have my target for the last out there. Keeping an eye, obviously, simultaneously on the future, the NQ March contract above 20,900 now, underline that. But we're having a lot of trouble with it. Like, we're only a couple of points above 20,900, and it looks like we might reject it back below we go into the 800s, low 90s now. So definite selling coming in on the NQ, and that's obviously going to push down the soft one, which it does. It goes right back down into the 75 print. So packing my patience on this. Let's see if we can clear 20,900, and by extension of that, the Microsoft curls possibly, Joseph, back into that volume-weighted average price. Josh J says Amazon back above 218. Yeah, the Mag 7, all catching a bid right now. Even NVIDIA is above 131, and that's been very kind of flat at the bottom, just kind of straddled between 130 and 131. It's a skosh above 131 right now. What else we got over here? Apple above the 20 exponential as well, but still sell to 34.
That's a banger short though on
this one.
So
that was the initial entry, and then we got in here, and now looks like we're gonna drop into my price again. But I'm gonna defend, or not defend. I'm gonna give this one to below 415 or 415. I'll risk a little bit over here on the what's it called? Microsoft. What do you got?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, right? Cool. We all like Bitcoin. Well, I don't know if we all like it, but a lot of us do. And I'm really curious to see what's going on. Kyle and I were talking about this as well too, folks. Where are we headed from here? All right, so let's pull up. Let's do some basic TA on this front, and just look at it like this, okay? That's it. I'm not getting, okay, we don't want to buy any right now, but okay. But again, this is what I'm looking at. Price is starting to compress here. Even though we did wick out, basic TA just forming that wedge. And I want to know, where do we go from here? Are we going to break up or are we going to break down? I'm really curious. I was like, okay, once we breach that 92K to the downside, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting ready. I'm going to get prepared for those mid 80s, those high 70s to get involved and add extremely heavy on this thing. But what we kind of do in Sharif's terms is just continue to whiffle and waffle in this specific range here on Bitcoin. So as price is compressing here, I'm going to look for that breakout and that volume to support that as well too. I would obviously prefer that it broke out to the top side, but with this wedge, anything can happen. It all depends which party wins first, okay? And I think the more we trade around in this range, for some reason, I want to favor the sellers on this end, but I could be so wrong just from a supply and demand standpoint in this underlying asset that we continue to move to the top side. I mentioned this time and time again. Even though this is a fantastic move, Sharif, you can't really complain about this, up over 33% in this move here, but just the duration of this consolidation phase from March all the way to November to break out and then only trade 33, well, I shouldn't say only, but we went 33% higher when in past Bitcoin history, that's when you get those 100%, 150, 200% moves in this underlying asset. So I'm still looking forward. I still want to see that move where everybody goes like 150, 200.
Yeah, well, dude, I mean, there's no shortage of analysts that are not predicting 200, 250, 180, you know, like in and around that area. So I think you've got the analysts on your side. We'll have to see, obviously, if this manifests. Obviously, I'm right there with you. Very pro Bitcoin now, and, you know, I'm involved in it financially as well. So I've been talking about it for a long time, but never had skin in the game. Now we got skin in the game. So.
Wayner had a good point, and we were talking about on Friday. And he's like, yeah, well, people still say, well, what's the use case of Bitcoin? And he said this. I get that. People said, but he said this, and I think it's such a valid, fantastic point.
Let's hear it.
Speculation.
Okay.
Gambling, right? This is speculation. One of the use cases of this can be a gambling aspect, right? You can trade this thing now on the markets and in regular crypto brokerages. So that is a use case. Right, speculation and gambling can be classified as a use case.
Yeah, and like, look, I mean, there were so many comparisons. I forget who it was, Michael Saylor or something like that.
Not saying it's the primary one.
No. But he was like, oh, he compared it to New York real estate. Well, it's not the same comparison, right? But I don't understand why an asset has to generate income or has to generate revenue. What rule says that? Why can't it just be strictly an inflation hedge? We know central banks and governments cannot be trusted to maintain the value of our money. They print money. We saw quantitative easing for a decade, more than a decade, and they love printing money. The point is, why can't there just be the inflation hedge aspect of it? Does there have to be anything else? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking out loud here. I'd love to hear the chat and what their ideas.
I think that's a fantastic point. Right?
Hey, get it, Neil.
I think that's fantastic points. So.
I mean, that's just the way I see things. I see basically what we did during COVID. Did you hear some of this data? The 2 years that we had to print stimmies. Yeah. And look, I'm not questioning whether we had to do it or not, but the fact of the matter is the amount of money that was printed, I think from 2020, maybe to 23, maybe to 22.
More than ever.
It was insane. It was like the same amount that was printed from the war, World War II, to like, I don't know, 2020 or something like that, or like very 80, close.
60, 70 years or something.
So the fact of the matter is, why can't it just not be an inflation hedge, full stop? Does it have to be anything else? Yeah. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Let us know.
Let's see what people are saying. Pretty, okay, he's talking about RR. I'll get to that in a second. Shout out to Neil. Neil already got me shorts for that. Let's see. Jimmy Donnelly. Gold doesn't generate revenue. It just goes up in value over time, like crypto. I get that, but you could make the case that gold can be used as a
system.
Yeah, well, exactly. You could wear it as jewelry. There's other uses. I'm sure it has uses in the industrial process as well. Eddie R. You need to put a tinfoil on that right now. Shout out to you. Corruption, Don Cherry says. Don Cherry, okay. I know, there, caught me off guard too. Kyle Burdett, isn't that why people buy gold too? Took the words out of my mouth, my man. Let me see. Jellybean, Algo, got so many government checks with his name on them. I don't know who you're talking about, but sure. Eclectic Passions, simply money. BTC equals currency. Okay, I respect that. Rogelio Concepcion. Right on target, Sharif. Thank you, brother. This is kind of how I'm seeing it right now anyway. Benali Hawk, fiat is supposed to be backed by gold. LOL. It's been LOL since your boy Nixon decoupled them in the 70s, and we haven't looked back since. All right, so guys, just to kind of wax poetic right now, we're involved in QBTS. We're taking some profits here to the $0.50. We're also still holding Softy. I'm waiting for that print over here at the third of a dollar on Softy. We are now at the $0.25 MSFT, and the future, by extension of that, moving to the high side. I'm earmarking around 416.75 for my final out on MSFT. That is the volume weighted average price. That all obviously is predicated upon it taking out my fourth out over here, which is not forthcoming. Cal Burnett, I know, surprisingly, I agree with you. Love the guy, but we never see eye to eye on anything. I think that's what makes a good friend. People who typically disagree and then you can butt heads with. Jimmy Donnelly, exactly. Crypto so dang useful. Shout out to you, my man. Happen to agree. Brendan, you just described physical gold and silver. Gold can't be hacked and works without power. Thank you. Look, you're not wrong, man. You're absolutely not wrong. Let's see what else people are saying here in the chat. Mitch, the Permabull. BTC is just a better Western Union, cheaper fees. It costs $96,000 worth of electricity to make one Bitcoin. This should shut up 99% of the people. Look, you're not wrong about that. Everybody talks about the excess amount of electricity, energy in general, used to generate Bitcoin. I don't think that that's a static thing and a stagnant thing. I think that that probably progresses as we adopt more cleaner versions of energy. So your point is well taken, but I don't know if that's going to be the case going forward. Let's see what else people are talking about over here. Coin on the move, says Evo Hugs. Let's have a look at COIN. Weasel over here.
Yeah, thanks for chiming in, everybody. There
Yeah,
too.
I'm loving it, man. And we're seeing names that we don't typically see, and that's the good news
thing,
there.
right?
All right, here it is, Coin. You're not wrong. Yeah, Coin defending to the dang T. That 251 level, look at that. The exact low of day, 251. And guess what? The closing print was on Coin yesterday, 251.14. Beautiful hold up at the closing print from yesterday. And here we go, 256 in sight. Volume weighted average price, 257 and 2/3. If I was in Coin, that would be where I'm earmarking my out. Kind of the same thing that I'm doing with Softy, earmarking my out for VWAP. I just have a bias that we do reject VWAP. So we got the print on Softy. There we go. All right, so now we're going to set up at the 2/3 of a dollar. Let's hang out over here at 69. As you know, if I'm sitting in the 60s, I'm going to be sitting at 69. There it is. I don't know why I'm feeling nuts today, but yeah, shout out to you, Joseph. What do you got?
Yeah, good stuff there. I mean, the detail, I think paying attention to detail is really key here, folks. So I just want to touch on this again. We've been over this lesson. We'll update it. We'll go over it again because these signals, look at this. From a whole daily perspective, you can identify out of, I don't know how many 1-minute candle prints there are on a daily session, but one print can help you identify a potential trade and entry point. So I'm going to emphasize on this one. As we start to recover and head back into the volume weighted average price, here on the overall market. SPY a little stronger here, guys, but look at that, and then sure enough, boom, we continue in this and just continue to appreciate in price. Now trading just below 76 on the TQs. It's just that little signal that says, hey, we're ready to rock and roll. Price is ready to turn around. All those sellers are exhausted. Let's start that cover rally, and then now we can start appreciating to the top side. So yeah, I like that look a lot there, guys. Let's see what IBIT is up to, because Bitcoin is what we were just talking about. Now trading above the volume weighted average price as well too. So nice recovery there on IBIT, up 3.19%. So yeah, big up Jamaica. Yeah, thank you, Prophet Anthony Green. Appreciate that. I told you, man, there's a lot of Jamaicans in the chat. So Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Clearly, huh?
Yeah, there is, bro. There's a lot of them talking. And it's weird because a couple of them are not too far from the small town, so that's really interesting that we're from. But yeah, guys, here we are with iBit continuing to slowly crawl higher, And one thing that I want to mention, and I talk about it a lot, is the volatility skew that can happen in this underlying asset. We can get really squeezy. We mentioned this yesterday. At the end of the session, you've seen how Bitcoin just react. We rejected the bottom and that support break low and then started to appreciate. That can happen at any given moment with this thing. Shorts get squeezed out or someone just starts a crazy cover rally and then we start to appreciate in price and head back towards that $100,000 price target. I mentioned before, it's only a matter of time until we break one direction. So let's see what happens there on that front. And I think I mentioned, I thought we were going to break lower, but we just keep rejecting those support levels, bouncing off of them, and then now touching against some resistance levels. So one party is eventually going to give, and I think that might be the bears at that point.
Joseph, I got a question for you here, because Fugazi Bear asked me this, and I didn't know the answer, so I'm going to put it to you, because you're way more of a crypto guy than I am. Sharif, I'm not anti-crypto. However, who do you call when your crypto purchase, refund, transaction, whatever it is not accurate, or you think it's not accurate? Who can you call? Is that does that even happen though?
I don't know.
Is the blockchain prone to failing?
No, but that's the thing. That's one thing that they say about it is that you can have enough confidence, sure enough, with no reasonable doubt that the blockchain is very rarely wrong.
Very rarely.
Yeah, but I don't think ever wrong, to be honest with you.
Let's see what Chat Gupt has to say about this whole thing over here.
So that's the positive thing about it, right? Is that you have confidence that that transaction is going to go through at what you need.
Ever gotten it wrong? For example, oops, I hit tab. That's not good. For example, has it nullified a valid transaction in the past? Let's see what Chat Gupt has to say. Bitcoin blockchain is designed to be highly secure and immutable.
There you go.
And operates on a consensus mechanism. It's called proof of work that ensures the integrity of transactions. While the Bitcoin blockchain itself has not gotten it wrong in terms of nullifying valid transactions due to its design, there are a few scenarios worth noting. There's something called accidental forks. We're not going to read this whole thing. You can Google it if you'd like, guys. Accidental forks, double spending attempts, transaction reorganizations, human coding errors, soft and hard forks. I'm going to have to obviously read this in a little bit, but this is interesting. So it looks as if most of the time, just like kind of you said, it doesn't get it wrong, but it looks as if there are some things that we need to be on the lookout for.
The forks are interesting, and fact check me along to, as well in the chat, but so a Bitcoin fork is something using kind of the same code, but in a different direction. So that's what Bitcoin Cash is. So Bitcoin Cash is a fork in the actual blue or white sheet of Bitcoin.
Interesting.
Yeah, so and then that's what Ethereum, the original Ethereum was. I forget what the name of it, the original Ethereum, and then the fork is now of what the Ethereum that we're accustomed to, right? If that makes any sense. I don't want to get too into that because I may be wrong, but that's what the fork is the Bitcoin Cash being the fork of Bitcoin, and then the Ethereum Classic was the fork the Ethereum now is the fork of Ethereum Classic.
Very interesting stuff, man. Very interesting stuff. All right, let's see what the chat chimed in when we talked about that. Well, it means that this is just Brad. Well, it means that it is what happened, not that it was authorized by the owner, okay? Crypto FOMO says never wrong. He needs to give more info. I don't think he was saying it was wrong, brother. I think he was just asking a theoretical question, but yeah, you're right. John Womack, I looked into buying BTC through PayPal, $2,000 spread? No, come on. I don't know if that's right. Let's see what else. Damien, hi, you cannot have a mistake in the transaction. It's only come from the user who did a mistake on the address. Very interesting point. So human error, I'm assuming, is what you're saying there. Let's see what else. Asking about, what about BlockFi? One day the next is gone and your account is locked and liquidated at a discounted price. I don't know if that's Bitcoin specific. That's probably exchange specific. The exchange that's housing your Bitcoin. I'm assuming that is the issue there. Darwin, that is until Quantum hacks the chain unless they are upgraded. Yeah, we've been talking about that for a hot minute. People already, singing the end of crypto as a result of Quantum. We'll have to see. Mario chiming in the same thing. Quantum will break it eventually. Sounds good. Big Spile. It's like wiring money, basically. If you send it to the wrong account, it's on you. You lose your loss, someone else's gain, and virtually impossible to get back. I see what you're saying there. Flex 1. I like that with the PH. Okay, see you, sir. Human coding errors on keys are the biggest problem / mistake. Makes absolute sense. And before we send it to Joseph for the ad read, Paul, exchanges, platforms have different prices on Bitcoin, not like the stock market, where all quotes are the same. Yeah, we kind of know that based on, the percentage up on the day. Joseph, we got to pay some bills.
Hey, that's it, guys. E-Signal, trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Receive profitable opportunities with the platform you need. Infinite data, instant trading. Know where the market is moving before others with lightning fast data. Charts that change the game, customize and analyze markets faster your way. Better backtesting and scanning, predict the future by understanding the past. Reliable real-time data, up-to-the-second market info from hundreds of global markets. Everything you need all in one place. Don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or check the link in the description.
I like it. All right. We're still involved in Softy, believe it or not. Where are we long? We're long at 60s. All right, we've got one more out here, and I've been waiting for the volume weighted average price at 416.75. Here comes the $0.50 again. Let's see if we're able to take out the $0.50. Last time, the best we could do was 416.50. Okay, now we're at 416.43s. Let's see if we're able to take out the $0.50. I think we can probably squeeze if we take out the $0.50 decisively, at least into VWAP. Looking at the future, the NQ is now green on the day. How long does it stay that for? Stay like that for, I should say. I don't have a whole lot of hope in the NQ staying green. We are at a key area of technical resistance right now, which is the 830 down before PPI. Get it, Joseph.
Come on, 20 cents. We're with 30 cents until we hit our target on the Playmaker, baby. Let's go.
I wouldn't mind that at all. Drop that cash, baby. But this is the area I'm looking at, Joseph, right here at 725 or 725 Central, 825 Eastern. That is before we got the producer price indexes and we shot up. Obviously, it was a sell the news type event, but the point is, this is the area, the turning point, the TSN turning point, baby, when we got up into that area. So we could absolutely reject off this area right now. I'm talking about 20,950 on the NQ March contract. Technically flat on the day. No print right now on Softy. Comes back into that 20 print there. Let's go to QBTS because I'm involved in that. Okay, we took out 55, so I got the print there. I've moved up my stop to 38s to account for this area trough. So it's got to have to hold 38s. We're in at 444s. Let's see if we can wet our beak a little bit above that area. So we got 55s last time. Let's go ahead and wait at 59s. What's going on over there, Katina, man? Oh, yeah, he's talking. So all good. All right, so here we're going to keep an eye on QBTS, up 18%, but definitely having trouble with that $0.50, Joseph.
Hey, good stuff. Kyle, I almost hate the Playmaker as much when Frank used to, I don't know. Okay, I'm not
Frank the Tank.
I don't know who Frank is.
Oh yeah, he used to be on with Brendo like at 2:30, 2:45. He would always talk. Well, we lost him because he had to go on like his company moved at a different show, so he wasn't able to come on anymore. But he would always talk currencies. He talked markets, he talked economics,
so good
bigger
stuff,
picture stuff. Yeah, excellent guy, bro. Excellent guy.
Okay, well, Kyle, sorry. I'm gonna have to stop a fail on that one. I only got the bang on that one, Kyle. But I mean, come on, man. Maybe just flip the bias a little, and then you'll enjoy it a little more. You know what I mean? So that's all you got to do is just flip that switch, and then sure enough, you'll be participating with the rest of us. But guys, we gotta go see what Adara's up to.
We do have here the DXY. For this segment of Money Talks, I want to take a look at the 15-minute chart because it's pretty bleak. We know that we did take a bit of a beating here with the DXY earlier today just due to the fact that we had that weaker than expected PPI data. This was really viewed as positive for the market, but a little bit negative for the US dollar, which is trying to actually make a new low of day here. Day's low would be just shy of 109, around that 108.9 area. So that is what's happening here with the market, or sorry, with the DXY. Definitely a bit of a rounded top here. Now let's see. We're actually, looks like we're even going to be filling this gap from earlier today. So we're going to have to wait and see here. Other areas of support that we could potentially bounce off of. I mean, the one we did kind of bounce off earlier today is going to be this low from yesterday, which is also, I guess, today's previous low, that 108.90 area. That could be of note. Then we also had this even a lower low, that 108.70 couldn't be another bounce area. But either way, it looks like all of this bullishness we had in this run up, this beautiful bull flag look for the DXY, could be eluded with this drop that we had today. Also, I think one thing too, potentially part of the reason that Frank was mentioned there in the chat was because people talk about the Frank pump. The market would go higher when he went on. So either way, bullishness, regardless for those who did not get that reference. Either way, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the stream. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara, for explaining that. Because, yeah, like a lot of us, we don't know. Frank, obviously, it's been a minute since he's been on. We miss him. We love him. Shout out to Frank, obviously. Okay, so I'm really happy with how we've traded softy today to the short side and to the long side. There was the initial short. We got back in. Once we took out this area crest, I said to myself, look, if that area crest got defended multiple times before, well, what happens when it breaks? So that's exactly what we did. Print. We just got the print at VWAP. So I'm happy I stuck to my plan on this. Volume weighted average price right around that third $0.75. Obviously, you know, true to form, I'm going to take it out at 69s, right? So that's where we're going right now. But it looks like the soft one might want to go green on the day. To go green, it's going to have to take out 417 and a fifth. So we're awfully close to that right now. We're at 416 3/4. So we'll keep an eye on this one. The future. I'm talking about the NQ. When I say future, almost 99% of the time it's the NQ. We're up 0.1 now. We're getting real close to the volume weighted average price, but VWAP on the future is at 20,985. And then 15 points above that, obviously we have 21,000. So which level are we using? Are we using 21,000 being, you know, that 1,000 point area, or are we using VWAP? So we're going to have to wait and see whether it gets to any of them first and foremost before we can start looking at these levels. But yeah, very close right now is the volume weighted average price on the NQ March contract to that 1,000 point level that the future's going. Okay, so here we go. The future is on the way up right now. The NQ, here it goes. It's been greenery since this 12:35 candle. VWAP is, I think, a few points away, 83s. We're seeing 77s now. Volume weighted average price is the white line on my chart. We take out this level quite decisively. We hung out there for, I would say, 10 minutes. 2 candle hold up at the break-even point on the day, which is 20,950, a little bit below that, 47s. Here we go. We're at VWAP right now. Aggressive buying in the afternoon as we have 15 minutes left before the big kahunas come back on right now. And we're going to see if this one can clear 21,000, but it is at least green on the day. So keep an eye on that. Apple also coming into VWAP. We could be in prime shorting territory here if the future turns around at 21,000 or at VWAP. This could be, you know, really good entries, top wick type things for a short on the Mag 7. We're going to have to wait and see whether that manifests or not. But we definitely got a bit of a trend change here midday, at least since I sat down. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Let's see how we're doing on QBTS, Joseph. I haven't been looking at that one. What are we doing? Okay, so we're still dancing with that dang 57s level. We've been at 57s multiple times, but sadly it has not crossed, so I didn't get printed. So we're going to wait and see if this one can continue to move up or what the situation is. Rippin' Ron Pan. I like that. Rippin' Ron Pan. Look at Cat. Absolutely. This one, if you've been watching the show for a while, this is in the long-term account and has been for quite some time. Well off the highs. Let's see what we're doing here with our friend Cat. Okay, so what we did is we got a 1 period close, Neil, below the 200 exponential on Caterpillar on the daily. It gave you 1 day. The Katina man's nodding. He knows exactly what's up. So you don't get a 200 exponential move. And when you do, look what we did. This is Black Monday. Okay, this was the yen unwind, or the yen carry The yen carry trade, unwinding of the yen carry trade. I'll get it right.
go.
So I don't want to say that this was a real breach. This was, a very specific event, and look how quickly we retraced above it. So this could be an interesting ad right now if you're involved in Caterpillar. I'm not trading Caterpillar, obviously, intraday, and I never have, probably never will, but this is one of my long-term, in my long-term account here, so it might behoove me to weasel in a few more shares at this level. But thank you for calling that out, by the way. I did not have eyes on that. Rippin' Ron Pan, look at Cat. So I like it on the daily at the 200. I don't have a trade for it intraday. Apple Green, says Ryan Hamlin. All right, we'll keep an eye out on that. Bob S. Ever time I sent it to a friend, had a problem. Okay, I guess he's talking to somebody else. Kevin Lalka, super healthy rotation across all sectors. This thing could run for days on end. We've been talking about the rotation or lack thereof in this market as of late. With the rust, definitely had its moment in the sun. I don't want to say it's all over for the rust, but it definitely had a couple of, a lot better of a 2024, certainly, than it did a 2023. T says Bitcoin to 70K. You're not the only person saying that. I don't believe that's going to happen, but what do I know? We'll have to wait and see. I'll tell you one thing, though. I'm a buyer, no doubt, of Bitcoin at 70K. I'm done with that. My mind is made up on Bitcoin. I don't know what Kamika LB, what? Joseph, another Joseph in the chat. Rigetti on fire, says that Joseph person. Let's have a look at your boy Rigetti. Yes, it is. It just printed the high of the day, and it took out this area crest over here that we printed at 10:30. So that is a good look. Now, what's the situation with respect to yesterday's high? Well, we're right at yesterday's high. Joseph, look at this. Look at that 935 print. The high there, 833. Guess what? We just printed 829. So we're arguing over dimes and nickels over here. So Rigetti could be at an area of resistance. But I tell you what, if we get above that 8 1/3 and stay above 8 1/3, this thing could certainly squeeze at least into 9, right? But we're going to have to clear yesterday's high. Certainly, we've done kind of half the work over here by clearing this intraday area crest that we printed at 8:30, which was around 8:10, 8:15 or so. So we're above that right now. Sadly, QBTS not following through that 57 print down into 54. So I'm going to have to continue to pack my patience there, Joseph.
Hey, good luck there, guys. Okay, so here we are, Playmaker poll. Now at all-time highs. This is the all-time high, guys, here on the poll. So we had that beautiful head and shoulders in the equity curve, but rejected it, and then now but that's the whole point of the 2-to-1 ratio, is that we kept those losses extremely small, and then now we just went exponential to that size. So that's fantastic. That's the whole point of tracking this data. Interesting stuff. Over 24 trades. Let's see our accuracy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 50%. That's crazy. Wow. 50% after 24 trades, guys. So a really nice look. We had a really rough stretch here as the market was starting to go on the descent there. But again, here we are just sitting back up at the all-time highs of the Playmaker pool. So hopefully you guys started tracking data like this within your trading as well too. You can break it significantly more down than what we had, even using time frames, whatever it may be, strategy, etc. So this is just an example of how you guys can track your data as well too. It doesn't have to have the same parameters that we have. You can implement your own DNA into your own system and find things that work and find data points that are legit, and then help you come to a conclusion, like, does this work or does this not work, all right? So the SPY really starting to move there. Congrats and thank you all for participating in this. Much appreciated, but I just want to touch on some SPY here real quick as we continue to the top side, now turning green. But it's crazy to see that, like, okay, through all of this selling, you have these small prints, Sharif, that display themselves time and time again. And sure enough, one of them is strong enough and just turns the whole market around here. Like, look how identical these prints are before the price starts to turn around. We have one here at an extreme low, recovers above VWAP. We have another one, recovery not so deep. Then we have another one where we're now fully recovered here in the overall market. So those are the things that I'm looking for on a day-to-day basis, whether it be at an extreme high or an extreme low, or even somewhere hovering around the volume-weighted average price in primary trends to the downside or to the upside. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Hopefully you guys, I don't find it equally as interesting, but just this one little signal can give you this whole move in the session. And that's why I love correlating volume and price, because it gives you ability to find those types of looks. But yeah, guys, here we are. IBIT's starting to recover as well too, but let's get up to the TQs as we start to continue to move higher. So there it is, took the TQs right on the break of that signal and just holding on to shares as we continue to move higher and higher. Now let's take a look at the actual Qs and see what's going on there. So yeah, up about 0.25% on the session. So there you go, beautiful recovery. Apple's starting to recover as well too. Let's take a look at this from a daily standpoint. Now we want to zoom out and we can see those same signals. Here they are. Is this recovery as strong? But let's see, that thesis isn't invalid until we break 229.80. Can we appreciate, like, this is a bounce play that I am personally looking to play here in Apple, in the swing. So if this works out, we did break it to the top side. I want to wait for CPI to come out in order for me to kind of decide what I'm going to do with this. But I think, considering this move that we went on, and then we just retraced about 40% of it. So yeah, I think that we're going to get a little bit of a bounce here in Apple. So that's something that I'm looking forward to play here in the short term.
Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing happening right now. And there was a really interesting duel he had with Elizabeth Warren. We're not going to play it, but anybody interested in that, go and have a listen. It's quite funny. All right, we're doing well here on QBTS. We're long 44s. We just took out 61s. I've set up now at 65s. Here comes 65 on the ask. Looks like there was a bit of size there, about, from what I can see at least right now, about 400 to 500 lots on a $4 name. Not too bad. They're up 21%, knocking on the door of that 4 2/3. And now, guys, I want to digress a little bit here from QBTS. The future, we got into 20. We are at 21,000. Decision time here. I mean, do we reject the 1,000 point level? We're above VWAP, but I was less inclined to want to base anything on VWAP given its proximity to the 1,000 point level. We're not clearing the 1,000 point level decisively by any means. That doesn't mean it doesn't continue to go up. Right now, we have a bit of a wick through 21,000 and below it, but by very, very little. Shout out to the individual who told me about Rocket Labs, RKLB, having itself a great day today. I mean, it was negative at one point, but quickly recovered off that 23 looks and a half, give or take. And now we are looking to test those the high of the day. The high of the day, 24.86. We're printing 68 right now, so we're about 18 pennies away from that level. But whoever was telling me, and again, I apologize, I forgot your name, but he's like, look, the algo is on Rocket Lab. Your point, very well taken. Since this bottoming tail doji candle that we printed at 12.35, there's one measly red candle in a sea of green candles to the high side, whether it was the closing print at 23.90, that was an initial resistance level, or the volume weighted average price at 24.40. Nothing has stood in the way of RKLB to the high side. Can't hold down these green candles, but we are still below the pre-market high. We're below the high of the day, so it's not the best case scenario quite yet. Keep your eye on Rocket Labs up 3%. Keeping my eye continuously on the future as we are at a critical level of 21,000. This could be the end of the good times, so to speak, for the longs anyway, and this could be the beginning of the good times for the bears. Where are you at, Big Spile? 21,000 could mean we get into that 1,000 point level and then see ya. So we'll keep watching this, not guessing whether we reject 21,000 or not, but we are at it right now. It looks as if Amazon is destined for VWAP. We're a couple of pennies away from that. Meta above VWAP, so is Microsoft. Google trying to work into the volume weighted average price. Apple and Tesla both are at VWAP. And the laggard on the day, and this has kind of been the case all day, NVDA, still about 50 pennies or so below the volume weighted average price, which is a little bit below 133. Here we go with QBTS. Sorry to digress between all these different names. I'm waiting at 65 here on QBTS. There's about, I want to say 600, 700 lots at 65s, Joseph. So still not getting the print. We're going to pack our patience. Get it. We'll see what we get.
Whoa, we get the screen switch there. We need to get the bang.
Hey, well, now we're covering the.
We're waiting. All right, that killed the anticipation. Yeah, I killed it.
64 is a go.
It killed the anticipation.
Let me just answer my man Gorev Hood has no red candles on the 5, breaks high day and very close to breaking 52-week high. Shout out to Gorev. I was reading a little bit of a tidbit on Hood today. And let me just get what I was reading over here. I think it's on the first screen. I apologize about that. I did load up my notes here on Hood. No, I didn't actually make it. Okay, so I don't have anything to report on Hood. Sorry, but let's look at it on the technical side of things. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, shout out to Gorev. I mean, this is a buy program, right? That aggressive. It doesn't always have to be on from 9:30 a.m. You can turn it on whenever you want, but looks like 1 o'clock was the beginning of the buy program, and it has been uninterrupted green candles since 1 o'clock on HOOD. It's up 10.5%. Jeez, this Robinhood did have a headline, so I need to report on this because I didn't talk about it today. Robinhood news. Here we go. There it is. Okay, so it's an SEC. It's actually a negative catalyst. So the SEC charges Robinhood with securities violation, brokerage to pay a $45 million penalty. Neil's chuckling because $45 million penalty is not much for what is Robinhood now in terms of market cap? $38 billion, Neil. $38 billion? When did this happen? Yeah, you got to come stronger than that, Neil saying to the SEC, and I happen to agree. So I guess maybe this is one of those times, Joseph, where the bad catalyst not as expected or not as bad as expected, and it kind of goes up as a result.
Yeah, that's good. That's always good. I guess like with the SMCI case there.
Yeah. And Hood is at the high of the day, boys. 43.77. This thing is going HOOD. It's up over 10%, and 10.5%, excuse me. Keep your eye out on that. Just give you guys some context as to where we closed out yesterday on the hooded one at around 39.60. That is the closing print. We haven't even looked at that price today. The low of day is 41.26, so we haven't even been to that level, Joseph.
Hey, good luck there, guys. Yeah, just keeping an eye on some of these IBIT and TQs as we continue to just slowly crawl higher, guys. So only got one more out here on TQs. Let's pull it up here and see what we got cooking. And then that's it. So yeah, there it is. Just off of that one little signal, we get this nice little move here. Let's talk about the losses here. 1 loss, 2 loss, and then 1 break even. So 2 for 2, or 2 for 4, sorry, on that front, but 1 that really works out well. And then we have the IBIT as well too. That didn't work out for us, but again, that's just why it's important to stop out, reassess the situation, and then find that better trade because they usually do.
Yo, what's your boy IBKR doing over here, bro? They're getting us a bet on the weather, Joseph. The elections weren't enough. Now we're betting on weather on IBKR.
Actually?
Like yes, this is not an ad. This is actually a post.
Wow.
So IBKR, will the average U.S. temperature in January 2025 be greater than 34 degrees Fahrenheit?
And you can actually place a bet.
Yes, I showed Adara this morning. I don't.
What are they going to get into sports?
They're trying to. I'm assuming they want to like compete with Kalshi and Polymarket and stuff like that because that's the kind of stuff you can bet on on those sites, right? So it's like IBKR is like, why wouldn't we do it? So 24%.
That's crazy.
Odds for yes, 74%.
I don't know how I would feel about my broker.
That's exactly what I said to Adara, bro. Right? I'm like, I have all my money with these people.
But like, like I don't need people betting on how long the anthem's going to go on in the Super Bowl on IBKR, what the temperature's going to be, or if it's going to be heads or tails. Like, I mean, well, maybe that. The more that I think about it.
You know, the Katina man brings up a good point.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know about nobody, but like I know a lot less people. Yeah.
But I'm assuming Katina man, people are betting on the game, brother. Like not the weather.
At least, yeah. Even the coin flip at the beginning.
The people bet on everything, though. Point well taken, right? Yeah. And this has been the case in England for a hot minute, dude. Like we're just getting this here, but in England, you could bet on like what color cleats someone was going to wear or who gets the first touch on the ball or whatever.
Yeah,
you know, like
the anthem one is usually a good one.
There you go. All right, guys. It is now officially 2 o'clock. Stretch it, no worries. So we're gonna have a look at QBTS because we're gonna stretch it for a minute over here. QBTS, guys, we got the print at 65s, and now I'm basically we got almost into 69s. So I'm assuming I'm gonna wait now for my last out. I'm gonna wait at 75. And when I say at 75, I always wait at 74 because the $0.75 could be an area of resistance. But before we leave you, I want to tell you something that for the moment we got a couple of red candles at 21,000. We haven't had a Christmas tree retracement or anything rejecting 21,000. We're kind of caught in between the volume weighted average price and that 21,000 point area on the NQ March contract. But I've officially gotten the clearance from the best production team around. Joseph and I will be back, same bat time, same bat channel. Big boys.
Dang.
All right. Welcome, everybody. The program buying started a heck of a lot earlier today than it did yesterday.